has wrapped up, so it's all over to the TCG now. More prizes to be had. Championship points always on the line. That's hugely important if you want to make it to that World Championships at the end of 2019. That's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah, indeed. And most of all, being crowned the Latin American International Champion. The prestige of that title is a title that only 2 other people so far can say that they've been able to achieve.
And if that wasn't enough, thousands of booster packs as well on the line.
Yeah, just for that added little sweet bonus.
We all love opening those booster packs.
Yeah, we sure do. Now, what did these players have to do to get here today? What did they have to battle through in order to make it all the way here? The format of the tournament that we've had this weekend, as I said, we are on a Sunday now. This is the finals, but to get here, the players had to battle through either 1 or 2 days of Swiss, depending on which Asia division they were in.
Yeah, so for the juniors, slightly smaller Swiss than it was for the Masters, but there were still a lot of them representing here today. So all of these players who've made it this far to the finals, they've definitely had to battle through a lot of difficult matchups.
Yeah, no kidding. And we actually have the bracket ready here for you guys. So to show you how the bracket played out, and for the junior division, we can see there sort of big mixture of nationalities there, but ultimately the 2 of the 3 Brazilians who made it into the top 8, making their way to the finals.
Yeah, so you'll see Pedro, one of our finalists in that bottom of the bracket, starting at 4th seed. He's playing a Malamar spread archetype. He was able to overcome Felipe, who was playing an Alolan Executor Sceptile archetype. As Pedro progressed into top 4, he was able to overcome also a Persimmon Tapu Koko list to make his way to the final 2.
Yeah, it was one of the interesting decks we saw yesterday being piloted by Gustavo Wada, clearly making its way into the junior divisions as well for the Brazilian crowd.
And for Henrique, he's playing Blacephalon in his top 8 game against Winston. He's already taken down a Malamar spread archetype, which is a really impressive win, and is also some good foreshadowing for our finals. So he already knows how to play this matchup, and he was also able to take down Taylor Johnson from the US, piloting a Zoroark Lycanroc archetype. So he's definitely piloting this Blacephalon deck very well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have already seen the power of the Blacephalon deck over the course of the past few days. Of course, Zach Lesage managing to get into top 8 with his Blacephalon GX list. Just that incredible mind-blown attack, doing 50 damage for 2 fire energy for each fire energy on your side of the field that you put into the lost zone. Able to do a one-hit knockout on pretty much any threat you could think of.
Yeah, it's just such a simple strategy, trying to get that amount of energy on the board to then use with those huge mind-blown knockouts. You have such great early game options as well. 2 1 energy attack costs. One is your GX attack. Burst GX allowing you to discard a prize. If it's a fire energy, you get to attach it to one of your Pokemon as well for additional acceleration. If not, you don't want to take that prize. You can also go for a Burn and Confusion. Really frustrating for some other basic Pokemon that can be in your opponent's active position.
Yeah, definitely. Just forcing your opponent to maybe have that chance at being forced into attack with Confusion, and then it is the worst feeling in the world, Joey. Just go for that Confusion flip. You hit the tails, and not only do you not get to attack, you have to do 30 damage to yourself. Yeah. No one wants to be in that situation.
No one wants to make that flip. 50-50 is never the odds you want to play towards. You want to have definite shots.
Yeah.
So forcing the opponent into awkward positions, make them retreat out of their active, giving them a slow turn of tempo, also forcing, sometimes Guzmas to even protect your own Blacephalon for future turns. These are all huge benefits just from the gate that Blacephalon presents.
Yeah, exactly. And an important note about Burst GX as well is that you can actually discard any energy with it, and it actually works for the attacks. So say if you get a little bit lucky, prize that Beast energy and get to discard it off of the Burst, you can just attach it straight away.
That is the dream.
Yeah, it's the dream. So with that in mind, I mean, what will Pedro be trying to do to combat this massive onslaught of fire attackers? Like you said, it is potentially a favourable matchup for Pedro, given the Giratina can attack very efficiently with just that attack costing 2 psychic and 1 colourless. The Shadow Impact doing 130 damage.
Yeah, 130, not quite enough to reach a knockout, but he does have a few more tricks up his sleeve as well. He's playing 4 copies of Spell Tag in his list, which is going to be an integral thing to keep an eye on throughout the game. He's also playing Shrine of Punishment, which, if that stays in play for too long, that could also help him reach knockouts on Blacephalons.
Yeah, and that's going to make him trade very favourably because, of course, unlike the Blacephalon, Giratina is not an GX attacker. It only gives up 1 prize when knocked out, and with that Distortion Door ability, when it does get knocked out, it can just not only bring itself back, meaning that you never run out of attackers, but it also puts 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so you just get even further to hitting those numbers that you need.
Yeah, some really cute math is going to be involved if Pedro wants to win the final here. Using those Distortion Doors, he also has things like that Shining Arceus and Tapu Koko. Placing those counters in the right places is going to be the way that he's going to try and win this game.
Yeah, and it's going to be really cool to see how this matchup plays out. Can can Enrique do another upset and maybe beat another Malamar deck in what in theory could be an unfavorable matchup for him?
At the very least, he knows the matchup. Yeah. If he's able to beat one in top 8, he could do it again. It's going to come down to him whether he can use his Naganadels effectively, using them not only for charging up in certain situations just to be used with Mind Blown, but also using them in an attacking sense, because although they only do 80 damage, they are psychic types, which means they can take knockouts on Malamars and some other Inkays and stuff like that. So early pressure is the name of the game for Blacephalon to pull ahead far enough before the Malamar gets its full strategy going.
Yeah, indeed. And we are going to see this play out now. Our players are ready to be introduced, so we're going to throw it over now so that we can meet our 2 junior finalists.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Latin America International Championships here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We have just concluded our VGC portion of the tournament and now look forward to our TCG side of things. We have our juniors finals coming up, and it is an all Brazilian finals here. First, we have Pedro Augusto. And then his opponent for the finals, Enrique Guaruita. All right, good luck to both of you. Shake hands, and let's have a wonderful game.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. So there we go. Our 2 junior finalists getting ready to set up and play out this finals match. Like Jeremy said, it is an all-Brazilian showdown, so there will be a home hero taking the title for here in the junior division. But which deck is going to come out on top?
It's going to be a close game. As we've said, Henrique has already overcome one Giratina Malamar archetype. Pedro has found his way to the final. I'm sure he's been no stranger to facing a few Blacephalon decks because they've been all over this tournament.
Yeah, they certainly have. Like you said, though, with Pedro's side, the combination of Shrine of Punishment and Spell Tag really going to be what racks up those damage counters to try and make that trade more efficient. Even though Blacephalon can take all these one-hit knockouts very easily, it's going to be much harder for the trade to be efficient given that the prize deficit is there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been one of the key features for Pedro's deck list. Choosing to play 4 whole copies must be a huge, great advantage for him, even in mirror match situations, against other GX decks, against all non-GXs. Having that much control of damage counter placement really is just a really great call on his part.
Yeah, Spell Tag also synergizes really nicely with Giratina because you can use a Shadow Impact attack to put the 4 damage counter, which would normally be a drawback, on itself, make it able to be KO'd more easily, and then that will trigger the Spell Tag.
Let's see Pedro Augusto here. He is already a regional champion a couple times over and also has achieved some previous top 8 and top 4 placements, so he's done well here.
Yeah, very impressive. Salvador regional champion, Camboriú regional champion, and top 4 Fortaleza and top 8 in São Paulo. That's a pretty impressive resume, and it really shows that he's probably one of the most accomplished juniors in Brazil currently.
Back in Sao Paulo, proving why he's such a great player again, this time rocking the Malamar Giratina archetype, one that we haven't seen gone so far in the Masters, but definitely being represented to a great placement already. Let's see if he can take home the gold.
Yeah, definitely. Like with that spread focus as well, we can see there 2 of his picked featured cards, the Tapu Koko and the Shining Arceus there, just be able to spread 20 and 30 are going to really help him out a lot against these Blacephalons.
Here we see Henrique. He has already achieved this season a top 8 at a regionals as well as a League Cup win as well.
So perhaps a little bit of the underdog going into this matchup, not quite the same level of resume as his opponent, but still looking, I mean, he's here in the finals right now, so he will be able to add that notch at the very least of either finalist or champion after this match is over.
Yeah, seems to be somewhat of a new kid on the block, but this season already he's been tearing up tournaments, and again, such a huge finish for him today.
Could this be the turning point in his list of achievements?
It was only a matter of time.
It was only a matter. I'm not even sorry.
But you can see there, both players are getting set up now. Shuffling's done with. They're going to start drawing their opening hands so we can kick off this first finals of the day.
Yep, so both players going to draw their opening 7. I mean, now we're not quite sure who's been able to go first. That obviously makes a big difference. Whoever goes first will be able to get out either their Naganadals or Malamars out first, respectively, which can mean that it gets up getting more energy on the field more quickly, and that's just always a great advantage to have.
Yeah, certainly important for these decks, both relying on energy acceleration from the discard
卫
pile.
军
So
在吃宵
they're
夜
going to
部，我
have
看
similar
到
tricks
了。
up their sleeves. They're going to have, you know, a large amount of Ultra Balls, Mysterious Treasures in both deck lists, lots of discarding supporters as well at times to get all those energies into the discard pile so they can recycle them with their own abilities.
Yeah, having a look at Pedro's prizes right here. A couple of Psychic Energy, perhaps not really ideal, but other than that, the one Malamar, one spell tag, he's prized things that he plays quite high numbers of copies of, so he can't be too upset about that.
Yeah, he's played very safe with his deck list. He plays 4 copies of the Malamar, lots of Psychic Energy cards, 10 in total, so he's shielded his own deck list from having a problem with prize cards just by having maximum counts of these cards.
Yeah, it's a really great great mindset to have when it comes to deck building. Now, let's have a look here what Enrique ends up prizing. He's going to put out his prizes now, and it looks to got Fire Energy, one Sights here, a Beast Ring, Mysterious Treasure, one Naganadal.
Fire Energy? Oh, no Fire Energy. Always something you should look out for, because Burst GX can take one prize. There is one in there. So it depends on the order at which he takes them if Burst GX is ever going to come into play here.
Yeah, we will have to see how this pans out. But we are pretty much almost ready to go here at the Juniors Finals. So let's get this kicked off. Round...
final round.
There we go.
We are into the finals, and it looks like we're seeing a dice roll to see how things kick off here.
And it looks like Pedro's going to take his mulligan draw and will be going first.
Yep, he leads off with one of those Giratinas against Enrique's Persephone GX.
Onto the active. There's the Shrine of Punishment straight away. Just puts that down without hesitation. And looks like he's going to play Lily after that. He's going to be only drawing 3 cards, but still a decent way to start off.
Just the 2 actually. Not to think many cards at all. He has drawn into an Acrobite. Oh no, he has picked up one after a quick count. Let's see if the Acrobite can give him any more good news. There is a Rescue Stretcher. Second target is an Ultra Ball. That's going to help him get going.
That is exactly what he wants to see right now. He really can't be too happy sitting on just that Giratina. He wants to get his Inks out. He wants to evolve up into his Malamars. Oh, and interesting to note, he actually can discard a Giratina from his hand as well.
2 fantastic discards. It's not only the Psychic Energy that love being in, it's also that Giratina, because he's able to use that Distortion Ball later down the line. And look at this, he's picked the Marshadow as his first search, and he's going straight for the Let Loose.
Yeah, so not even worrying about the Ink at this point right now, just wanting to really stop Enrique being able to set up as easily and going for that Let Loose. Both players are now forced to shuffle their hands into their decks and draw 4 cards.
Yeah, it's one of these things that you can actually play on Persephone players. We've seen a few times already on stream where they can sometimes get hands clogged full of nothing but energy cards. Enrique is playing 17 of them, so this 4-card hand may end up being awkward for him. Let's see how it plays off.
Yeah, unless your name is Daniel Lazavilla, in which case, no matter what Let Loose you do.
Wow, he's able to get himself 1 Inkay and a Nest Ball here. Not bad. He is supporterless, though.
Yes, he's going to have to rely on his draw for the next turn to see if he can get himself out of this. I mean, 2 Inkays will, doing well for now, but he really doesn't want to be sitting on that for too much longer.
No, so he seems to be in top deck mode from his own early game Let Loose. And it looks like there's an Ultra Ball for Enrique's hand. He does play 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX, so he's going to be out of this funk.
Yeah, he is. And meanwhile, he's going to sort of start off his turn here. There's the 1 damage from the Shrine of Punishment. Ultra Ball will be able to find him a Tapu Lele GX and just start getting him going. 1 Fire Energy goes on to the active. I imagine at the end of this turn, we'll see a Burst GX. We need to see, like you said, what prize he ends up going for there.
This is a beautiful Ultra Ball, getting 2 Fire Energies into his discard pile straight away. He's eyeing up that Lily to draw himself a big 7 cards once he pulls out this Tapu Lele to Wonder Tag. This is going to be a great start for him.
Absolutely, he knows exactly what he's going for here. Just pretty much the best start you could ask for. Just the Lily, of course, if you play it during turn 1, enables you to draw up to 8 instead of the usual 6. So just being able to see all the resources you need to start getting your strategy going.
So let's see what the Lily can bring him. He was going to try and find one of his stadium cards to remove this Shrine of Punishment. He doesn't want it to stay in play for too long because it does put that Blacephalon in quite easy range, already picking up an Acrobike, so his turn's not done yet. No basic Pokemon. There's a stadium card though, the Heat Factory Prism Star. Fantastic for getting that early game set up.
Yeah, Heat Factory Prism Star allowing you to discard a Fire Energy from your hand and draw 3 cards. Just a really amazing pickup, especially considering it will, of course, get rid of that Shrine of Punishment, which, if left unchecked, will do an absolute number on Enrique's board.
Acro bikes away another fire energy. He's got plenty in his discard pile already. Now it's just down to him to try and find some poi poles to get into those Naganadels later down the line.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to find any so far. Does pick up a B-string, though. That's going to be something that Pedro's going to have to be careful of with. Pedro's playing a deck where, unlike we saw yesterday with the Decidueye players able to take these 4 prize turns and really play around the B-string turns, Pedro's deck isn't really capable of doing that.
4 copies of Guzma in Henrique's hand here. It's going to be a big burst GX if he can get that last fire energy, because he's actually run out of them in his own hand here. So let's see how he takes his prize. It's just a beast ring. So he does go down to 5, but his hand is also looking a little bit shaky now.
Yeah, it is a bit. And there's a replacement Shrine of Punishment straight away as well. So Heat Factory only really staying in play for 1 turn. Of course, yes, it does go to the Lost Zone, being a Prism Star Stadium. But then, is that just a pass?
Yeah, Spell Tag was his draw for turn. Unable to do anything else, just allow that Shrine of Punishment to get back into play here.
Unreal.
Really awkward stuff for Pedro.
Yeah, indeed. So Pedro's still in top deck mode as it currently stands. This gives a really big opening for Enrique to kind of just run away with this game, and he has another counter stadium drawing the Ultra Space to get rid of the other Shrine of Punishment.
And yeah, that is the last Shrine of Punishment. That's not going to be a factor for the rest of the game now. Pedro only plays 2 copies, so Henrique has been able to overcome these quite early on. Only a couple damage counters on his GXs, so this Ultra Space is going to stay in play for pretty much the rest of the game. It's going to be great for him to keep getting out lots and lots of Naganadels.
Indeed, it will. They're 1 poi pull down already from that Ultra Space, debating where this energy should go. And he's going to just going to put it onto the active and start really pressuring these knockouts here. Although he won't be able to do that just yet with the amount of energy he has on board. So just opt for a Bursting Burn instead.
Bursting Burn could do some interesting maths here, actually. If he remains burnt, the Mind Blown could put him in range of a burn for KO to avoid a spell tag.
Oh, but a lucky heads from Pedro means that won't be the case.
There was also the option for Henrique to go for a Kiawe to end his turn instead, but he opted to put a couple damage counters on the Giratina. There's a Malamar pickup, and not much else he can do.
Wow, just really Pedro not being the cards he needs right now. It's really hurting him a lot more than it hurts Enrique. As another fire energy goes down onto the Blacephalon, and Enrique could just really run away with this game at this point. Yeah, use the Ultra Space again, get another poi pull. He just find himself a Naganadel, start using charging ups, and Pedro really needs to find something fast. Otherwise, this game is as good as over.
That's absolutely true. And we might see once again a patient Bursting Burn. He wants to continue to play around this spell tag because he's just content to build his board here. There's no real pressure coming from Pedro. Yeah, once again, it's just the Bursting Burn.
And another flip, and it is a heads again. So another heal of the burn from Pedro's side, and looks like he draws a Tapu Koko for his turn.
Koko, not hugely impactful, but he is able to use his Psychic Recharge. Just 1 Psych Energy in his discard pile. Again, not much else he can do here. Gonna have to pass it over.
Yep, so going back to Henrique's turn again. Draws what looks to be another fire energy for his turn. He has a 3rd Blacephalon in his hand, but he doesn't really want to play that down right now. But he'd like to get a 3rd poi pull down so he can do even more charging ups. He does have a Guzma in his hand. He could use that to play around the spell tag as well.
Yeah, I think that's got to be what he looks for. Maybe dealing with this Malamar could be a good deal. The only real awkward thing is that the Tapu Koko is such a nice pivot that it could be helpful. And this Giratina is a chunky bench Pokemon. If he wants to just continue to build his board behind this, but I've got to think he wants to start taking prizes here, targeting down that Malamar.
Yeah, a really wise choice there, of course, being the only Malamar that Pedro has in play, so just goes down. Pedro needs to find another one before he starts doing more psychic recharges. And there it is, just the bursting head. No, not best head, the Mind Blown rather, still also only 2 energy.
I think we didn't see a use of Ultra Space that turn, which is a little misstep from Henrique. Excited to get to take his prize, but this Blacephalon now in the active, going to take another one away from Pedro. That 1 Malamar now taken off the board. Oh, finally, Pedro's got himself a means into Tapu Lele GX. He can start getting his side of the board going.
Yeah, we're able to find that Ultra Ball or Mysterious Treasure. We didn't quite see it was played off camera there, but you guys got the Tapu Lele, and that means you'll be able to use one attack to get the Lily and be able to refill his hand at long last.
Yeah, it must have been a Mysterious Treasure, I think, because there was only a Rescue Stretcher in his hand at the end of the last turn, so pretty big pickup from him. Lily for a fresh 6, and we'll see if he can start getting some attacks off. He also wants to try and redevelop Malamars and other Inkays if possible. There is one off the draw.
Yeah, indeed, there is one more. He'll be able to play that down.
Mysterious Treasure as well for another Psychic Energy. He could get himself a Malamar, another Psychic Recharge. He has the option to go for either a Flying Flip or even a Shadow Impact if he wants to this turn.
So I imagine at this turn you probably will want to maybe go for the Flying Flip. As long as the Malamar player can do a couple of spreads with Tapu Koko, that puts things in range for them to be finished off with a combination of Shadow Impacts from Giratinas and the Spell Tag damage counter placement.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to see mulling over what to use this Mysterious Treasure on. He's just used the Acrobike, picked up a second Guzma in his hand. He's going to commit his bench fully now by putting down this last Inkay. As we mentioned, the Malamar so important to chain attacks with those Giratinas. They can get themselves back onto the board very easily as long as you're able to Malamar set them back up. There's just going to be a never-ending chain of Giratina.
Yeah, I think there might be a debate from Pedro here as to what he discards off of this Mysterious Treasure. He would ideally like to discard the Psychic Energy to get it back, but then it means that you'd have to attach a double colorless and a Psychic to the active, which wouldn't really be ideal. So instead, he just does opt to attach the Psychic to the active and does the Flying Flip.
This Flying Flip definitely going to be important math for him because it does, as we say, with Spell Tag ticking over throughout the game, puts all these GX Pokemon in range. So although the Shrine of Punishment is gone, there's still more damage counters that can fly around this board.
Yeah, definitely a really great play from Pedro, being able to start making a bit of a comeback in this really not ideal start. Now there goes a Mysterious Treasure from Pedro, and he's going to use an Ultra Space at the same time as well. So he's going to be able to grab both a Psychic Pokemon and an Ultra Beast here. And he does go for the Mega Nadal, and then using the Ultra Space, probably going to grab another one.
Yeah, saving himself a little bit of time, as long as you let your opponent know that this is what you're trying to do. As you can see, he was clearly announcing, that was what I wanted from the Mysterious Treasure. This is the one I want from the Ultra Space. Saves him time from shuffling, and it means he's going to be able to get some charging ups going here to refuel and get more mind blowns off this turn. Thanks to that Beast Energy, only having to remove 2 fire to the loss zone. This turn is going to be really efficient for him.
Yeah, that's really the power of Beast Energy, being able to preserve the amount of energies you put into the loss zone. Actually just goes for the Guzma on the Tapu Lele GX.
Yeah, this is an alternate route, forcing the prize trade even further here. He can use a charging up simply to retreat, and then use a second charging up on the Naganadel to pay the cost for the Mind Blown attack.
Yeah, actually a really hyper-aggressive strategy here, just trying to race for those prizes as quickly as possible. And now just making sure that he has enough energy on the board to do this. Yes, he does. So the one charging up on each Naganadel will be able to make him retreat. He can bring the Blacephalon with 2 energy back active and Mind Blown for the KO.
What I really like about this play is there's 2 Psych Energy committed to that Tapu Koko, and I don't think there's any others in his discard pile, so he's pretty much denying a Giratina from attacking next turn whilst also taking 2 prize cards.
Yeah, Pedro's going to have to work a lot harder to get both the Psychic Energy in the discard pile and get enough Malamars and everything else out to be able to do
huge draw. He's got
attack.
himself a Cynthia here, so he can try and recycle his board. Wow. I think he wants to use a Mysterious Treasure first. He needs to get some Malamars into play.
He does, but then equally, if he uses the Mysterious Treasure now, that's one less discard out you can draw to get Psychic Energy in the discard pile, so it's a bit of a catch-22 situation.
That's why it's not a routine choice. As you see Pedro mulling over his options here. He is going to opt to use one, discarding one of his Guzmas, and he's going to go ahead and grab himself a Malamar.
Yeah, probably thinking to himself, even though this is one less discard out I have, that still at least gets one more Malamar guarantigued into play, and I have enough other discard cards that as long as I can see like an Ultra Ball and 2 Psychic Energy.
Yeah, we are going to see him shuffling up. He's going to have to use Cynthia to recycle his hand. He might even commit this double colorless to the Giratina, because we said how important one Flying Flip can be for improving your maths, but it feels like the time is sort of passing for that. He needs to start being aggressive, because Henrique's already taken 4 prize cards.
Yeah, exactly. And with the double colors on, it would only take 1 Psychic Energy and 1 discard out, essentially, to be able to enable the Giratina to attack.
Henrique racing so quickly through these prize cards.
没有，其实我现在麦克风也没有开得很大。等一下，我先把麦克风先关掉一点，因为我后面的东西要整理一下。
Yeah, indeed, and actually Pedro doesn't opt to attach double colors energy, does just go for Cynthia. So now he will need to see 2 energy as well as something to discard one of them.
Going to be very awkward. It's going to be a big 6 cards here to see if he can get Giratina attacking, or if he has an alternate route. There's a couple energy cards. If he can find a discardable card here.
5
back into a double colorless energy.
Oh no, he doesn't miss.
Oh yeah.
That's really rough for him.
可是问题是他有办法填的吗？
Malamar going to be helpful, but
刚看好像他坟场已经是没有一样，是没有超的状态。如果他有超的话，就可以填一费给。
This does kind of work out okay-ish for Pedro still. It does mean that now everything will be in range of shadow impact, but very easily, even if not factoring in stuff like spell tag. But it does mean that he's just not really making that prize trade favorable like his deck usually would do.
And Henrique with that excellent choice of Guzma last turn, really denying the use of a Guillotina this turn. He did a really perfect choice there to be as aggressive as possible whilst also denying Pedro his setup.
Yeah, exactly. Just leaving those psychic energies onto the field. That's something that you always have to be mindful of when you're playing the Malamar deck, especially when you attach energies to something like Tapu Koko, because of course it does have free retreat. That's usually such an amazing trait to have, but it also means that those energies are never coming off that Tapu Koko unless it gets KO'd.
So he's having to settle for what looks to be a flying flip here. Does put more damage counters onto the board, and there's always things like Black Ray which can sweep a game all at once.
This is true,
but not quite enough on the board just yet.
In fact, one more flying flip, or maybe even he could use that shining Arceus in his hand to do an ultimate arrow inverted to everything, and then that could actually win the game in one turn for him. I can't think that will be at least one of the possibilities going through his mind right now.
Yeah, that's always the comeback potential, but he's just on the charge. He's 2 prizes away. He's got to think he's taking one more this turn with a mind blown. He still has 1 or 3 fire energy in his discard pile, so he's no problem to get some more knockouts.
签一个特性贴好。
even easy
不过现在很麻烦的是，因为对方看不到啊，就没办法开一手。那不能开一手环的情况，就是贴那一次，那也是复杂。他没有办法随意的做他想做丢的部分。我看他，可是他这边有3个火，所以还可以再做一次。但是小浪费的原因是因为现在这样打。 除非他选择的是对方的看他选择鱿鱼，抓鱿鱼，给他做了鱿鱼，抓鱿鱼，可以。然后他现在要做的是
quite an easy prize for him to take once again.
An easy prize for him to take, and again denying the psychic energies hitting the discard pile. Maybe there's a chance that Pedro doesn't have an energy in his hand, and that this means that
这个做法可以稳定的杀
really cool play from Henrique here.
鱿鱼之类的这种小生物排除。
One Malamar in play, the Black Ray is way less likely to happen. It requires a
然后又可以减少，又可以扫一下他的
psychic recharge, and
对，我觉得算是
still no psychic energy in his discard pile.
Yeah, exactly. Because Henrique has been so clever with his
不用费用上前。
Pedro's draw for turn. It's an acro bike. What does he see off this? It looks to be a Tapu Koko and an Onyx.
Onyx, a great tech card for other matchups. He's going to get rid of it, but this is not helpful. It looks like he's in a really bad spot at this point.
No draw for supporters in his hand either.
Just a lot of Pokemon and energy cards. This could be the last turn Pedro has because Henrique has set up his.
刚刚如果想办法贴能给，就是
I think
那个肉芝麻下场。
she wrote for game 1.
那个肉芝麻如果不下场也是很危险，下场也是更危险，会直接被杀光，最后那2张会直接被拿走。
He's going to have a quick look at his discard pile. Maybe it's time to use a distortion door ability for a few more damage counters. He was actually so close to reaching a Black Ray for game. If only he had once more and used a spell tag proc, he actually could have stolen this game.
Yeah, now actually, if Pedro takes the KO here on the Blacephalon, which he will do, he will take the knockout. Enrique doesn't really have a way of doing an attack this turn. I don't believe he's playing anything in his list that enables him to do a sort of an attack out of nowhere, apart from
B-string time.
Does he have one in his hand?
Yeah, he's got B-string in his hand.
Oh my god, ignore that. Ignore that then.
I think he has 2 actually.
Okay, then this game's over.
Yeah, it is down to Henrique now, simply promoting.
Slapping down that B-string.
As long as he has enough energy in his deck, which we know he has to. 17 copies. You're going to see a manual attack. B-string number 1. See, that's all it takes for him to get the win here. As long as he selects the B-string to go onto the active Blacephalon.
That will indeed be all she wrote. I believe Pedro just picked up his cards. There it is, the mind blown. Takes the knockout of the Giratina, and Enrique will take game 1.
Yeah, fantastic demonstration there of how a Blacephalon can outpace a Malamar player. We said earlier on that there are so many outs that Pedro has in his deck. Those spell tags can get very creative. That Shrine of Punishment is always awkward, but the pure speed of Blacephalon meant that, sure, there's a lot of damage counts on my board, but I've already won the game.
Yeah, exactly, and it doesn't matter if you're trading favorably or unfavorably or not, if you just prevent the opponent from being able to take any sort of prizes at all.
We're going to see here. It's not, game over for Pedro. We just mentioned all those cards that he's going to try and use effectively in order to make that game a lot closer in the second opportunity that he does have here, because it's going to be down to him to make those shadow impacts work. There was that turn of flying flip, which was fantastic for him, but he has to progress that into knockouts, and he had a little bit of a stalling turn from his own let loose there, and it really did deny his own setup.
Yeah, it really, really did. It was just one of those things where normally you think, oh, you know, if we're going to let loose my opponent, then that means I'm already in a good state, and they're likely to not be able to find anything. I can just take control of the game from here.
大师组好像真的发生一点问题，就没有打好。等一下我们再看看为什么。
Well, he'd used his Lily for turn, so he was hoping to just refresh his hand and get access to some in-Ks of his own, which he did end up doing. It's just nothing else followed from that. So I wonder if he'll take a different approach in this second game.
Yeah, maybe not take that risk with the Mars Shadow and just more focus on setting up his own board a little bit stronger before going for that.
Exactly. At the same time, it could have hurt Henrique, as we have said. Lots of physical energy cards, not a huge amount of supporters in the list. A few Cynthias, there's a few Sightseers and Lilies, but
just the one Ultra man. That's all he needed to get gain the Lele, Tapu Lele for 1 tag, and then Lily for 7. That's gonna put you in a pretty good stead, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, that got him rolling, and Pedro's gonna have the option to go first here if he wants to. Henrique, though, is such a great deck at going second as well, because he can start using that burst GX, as we saw in that first game. Went straight for it, taking that first prize and really getting the ball rolling on his end. So that's the power of one of these Blacephalon archetypes. It loves to go first, because it can evolve up into Naganadel so quickly and gain extra energy attachments for turn and start going for Mind Blown out the gate. But if you do go second, you have the option to start taking prizes straight away.
Yeah, either bursting burn or burst GX. Both of them are just really effective attacks, and one to just set you up a little bit further. Maybe put a little bit of spot damage onto the active before finishing off with a Mind Blown, or even just if you can luck out and get an energy from your burst GX, that just puts you so far ahead.
And we actually saw Henrique, he did have a couple turns of using that burst and burn, trying to put that Giratina in a little bit more range for future turns, which he didn't end up having to go through a spell tag once that game.
No.
But he was always having the contingency plan just in case he had to.
So there goes, looks like that both players from a mulligan, no, just a mulligan from Enrique's side. So Pedro is going to have get an extra card to work with here going first, which is going to be even better for him. He's going to start putting out his prize cards. Let's see what he ends up prizing this time. We do see one of the Cocos he's playing there, spell tag as well, one Guzman and Lily, and then it's like, oh, and he does prize his one of Tapu Lele promo.
Yeah, that's a little bit awkward for him. As we see Henrique, there's again one tempting Fire Energy in his prize cards. Also a Blacephalon, 2 Fire Energies now. Potentially a Burst GX could take that and get straight onto his board if he gets lucky.
Yeah, but here we are, just so both players shake hands. Here we are, game 2 of the junior finals kicks off. Pedro going first, taking his mulligan. Let's see if he's able to find himself a better setup than he has game 1. There's an in-K straight away.
Yeah, leading a Tapu Koko. There's a tempting Mars Shadow once again in his hand. He does have Ultra Ball though, as well as a Cynthia, so you got to think he's going to try and be a little safer here.
Yeah, maybe he actually just Ultra Balls away the Mars Shadow. He's like, no, not going to even tempt myself.
He's keeping that Onyx in his hand, which is an interesting choice. Not always the most effective attacker.
原来比赛前没握手不能开始。
But at the end of the day, 120 flat damage with all these spell tags and distortion doors can still get the job done. So he's identifying that and keeping it in his hand for now.
Yeah, and not only that, there's a rescue stretcher actually. Oh, he's going to go. I thought he might have been getting the Mars Shadow back to his hand, but no, he's just going to shuffle the Arceus and the Mars Shadow back into the deck.
流感也想看一下下报道11达成。
He is going to shuffle these back in. Just a quick confirmation from the judges there as we continue to do this here. We're just going to see. We don't really know what the stoppage is for here. As of right now, we're seeing that Shining Arceus and Mars Shadow being played with a rescue stretcher to shuffle them back in. Just be a quick moment here while we figure out what's gone wrong.
Yeah, so not quite sure what's happened there either. It looks like there might be some debate as to what the intention of the rescue stretcher was. Because he sort of played it and then got the Mars Shadow, but then got the Arceus as well. Yeah, looks like they're just going to have a sort of a quick discussion about this. We will keep you updated as soon as we know what's going on here.
Fortunately, nothing seems to be irreparable. Not much has happened yet in this game, so it feels like if there is any issues, we can get that sorted relatively stress-free here. And
it looks like that. Oh, that is indeed what's happened. No, are they going back? Yes, no, maybe. It's sort of teetering on the edge.
The judges really do have to take care here, especially with juniors, to make sure both of them are clear about what the ruling is, how to resolve it. So they're really going to take their time here and not rush anything, because they don't. The one thing they don't want to do is make anything worse.
No, and it looks like there it is. They're going back into the deck, and then the Cynthia being played straight away.
Yeah, fairly simple resolution, and we can continue on with this game. As we see, the first supporter for Pedro going to be a Cynthia. 6 is a lot safer than 4 for turn 1.
Yeah, it is, and it's not much less likely to run into the same situation he ran into game 1, where he basically let loose and didn't really do anything for about 4 or 5 turns.
And 2 Inks already developed onto his board. It's going to be a really nice start from him. Everything going smoothly here. It's going to be what he needs if he wants to take the second game.
Yeah, and already off of the Cynthia, he does see a Malamar and Acrobat. He's trying to punishment and a double colorless energy.
Now, a really nice hand.
Very nice hand. Oh, and Mysterious Treasure too, wow.
And a Cynthia to follow up for the following turn. It's all there.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. He's probably going to hold off playing the Shrine of Punishment for now. There is no Blacephalon on the field, so no point really playing it when it's not going to do anything, especially now that he knows Enrique is likely to have counter stadiums.
Oh, it's a dream acro bike as well. 1 Psychic Energy straight into the discard pile as he picks up an additional Nest Ball.
Fantastic. So he can play that down, get himself a 3rd Inke if he wants to. Maybe even getting a Giratina. It's a little bit awkward with Giratina because ideally you'd always like to discard it.
一周不行上课下周1、2要月考等于等于。
to bench it regularly just so you actually have the attacker available.
You can see Pedro thinking about what he wants to grab from this Nest Ball. He's thinking whether or not he needs to play it at all. He's also debating on that Shrine of Punishment. The thing to note is that Enrique is not playing any of his own Marshadow or anything like a Judge in his own list, so any card that Pedro doesn't play will never get disrupted out of his hand, but Pedro is still opting to get that Shrine of Punishment into play early, maybe trying to catch some early Blacephalons or Tapu Leles if Enrique needs to play them on his first turn.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe not realizing that Enrique isn't able to disrupt Pedro's hand.
Yeah, he doesn't know the exact 60 cards. We know from up here that his hand is completely safe, but there's no way of Pedro for knowing that either.
No, there is the Nest Ball coming down as well from Pedro. It looks like he's going to grab himself a 3rd Inke, realizing that last game, he really struggled to do multiple psychic recharges, although actually it didn't really end up even mattering that much because Enrique realized he could just Guzma around the energies getting into the discard pile. But Pedro's just going to want to make sure he could do as many psychic recharges as possible.
He's also going to have a quick look through his deck once again, making sure he knows what is prized, what attackers he has access to, because that's one of the only things about his deck list. Lots of 4-ofs in terms of trainers and energy cards and stuff like that, but he plays lots of 1-of attackers to give him as many options as possible, so making sure you know what's accessible to you is going to be important throughout the game.
Yeah, it certainly is, and after that, just a pass from Pedro, and it's going to be on to Enrique. How does he approach his first turn? His hand looks pretty decent. He has got a Sightseer to work with, an Acrobike, lots of draw cards, should be able to see a lot of different options, although that looks like an awkward Acrobike to start with.
到底 LIC 的 Master 发生
discard in my book.
为什么我没有
didn't see, well, there was that one
看
Tapu
到
Lele
发
that
生
could be
什么
useful, but yeah, he's eventually going
是说
to
是已
choose
经
that
不能
choice
打
band
没
to
打了
get into the
是
discard pile as he benches that
就
Poi-Pole.
亚军直
His
接爆
stance
掉
been
嘛
pretty good here. He's got a Sightseer, could be
啊
reducing.
找一下原因
Wow,
总是要找出原因的嘛
three
对不对
cards here. One Naganadel and
总
two
是要找出
Fire
原因
Energies
的嘛
at
对
the
不
gate
对
as he's able to
对
draw
所
into
以
3 fresh
现
cards
在
of
在
his
看
own.
原因
Does find
why
himself a B string, obviously won't be
Ooh, it's awkward.
be able to do much now, but
Josh
actually, Enrique's has no draw supporters now currently.
Josh
Yeah, nothing
FE
going for him. He can attach to his Poi-Pole and use the Eye Opener attack to look through his own prize cards.
Yes, he can. So he's going to be able to sort of look at those and sort of see what's going on. Now, an important ruling clarification, actually, and this came up on the stream yesterday about Poi-Pole, is that it lets you look at your face-down prize cards, but you have to put them back in the same order. So the other you can, you look at them and you don't need to, shuffle them afterwards. You have to keep them in the same order they were there, which is why there was the issue yesterday when they were all shuffled up.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
So we do see that attachment to Poi-Pole. One good thing for Enrique is that he did discard that Naganadel quite happily, and that's because he was holding onto a rescue stretcher. So next turn he could start evolving up, getting some charging up going, and even start threatening this Tapu Koko.
Yeah, indeed he could. The Malamar going down, another one going down as well. And with that double colors on the active, Flying Flip is going to start putting in some work, doing 20 to each of these Poi-Poles.
2 Malamars turn 2, another Inke on the board, and a big Cynthia. This is a much better start from Pedro.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's in very stark contrast to the first game. If he's able to find himself some more attackers off of this Cynthia as well, he can put himself in even better shape.
Yeah, because the Flying Flip isn't too impactful right now. Normally when you're using Flying Flip in this deck, you're trying to set up GX Pokemon for knockouts. So it's much more efficient for you to start looking to find things like that Giratina to start taking single prize cards.
Yeah, exactly. And off of that, it does look like he drew some attackers, but really not attackers he'd like to bench in an ideal situation right now. Like Necrozma obviously is a really great attacker, can do one-shots on 2 Blacephalon GXs, but you don't really want to be using a Necrozma GX to KO a Poi-Pole.
So he is going to have to suffice with a 20 damage to the active and the bench with flying flip here. And we see Henrique picks up an Ultra Ball, so he's got to have a big sigh of relief as he's gotten his way back into a Tapu Lele to start drawing some more cards again.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, being bailed out a little bit there, realizing as well, that debating what to discard with the Ultra Ball. Going to play the Rescue Stretcher first, grab himself that Naganadel he discarded off the Sightseer earlier, going to just evolve the active straight away. And he actually could attack with Turning Point here if he wanted to, just do one charging up and then attach to the active manually. And it looks like that might be what he's going to go for here.
Yeah, he's got the charging up. He can Ultra Ball away a few pieces. That, again, the Choice Band seems to be the easiest discard. He's just thinking whether it's better or worse to get rid of a B-String or a Guzma. Both important, trying to get around Spell Tag. That's why you see Henrique identifying that that's going to be the most important keep from him. And he can use Tapu Lele to Wonder Tag himself into a fresh 6 now.
Yeah, just be able to grab himself the Cynthia for that, and with that be able to, as long as he can find one Fire Energy, which, given we know how many Fire Energies this deck plays, it seems likely it's probably going to work out well for him.
And the ideal here is if he finds his Beast Energy, he could then knock out this Tapu Koko, and also looking to, again, replace that Tapu Lele's hit the field.
Yeah, that would be the ideal draw for him. Of course, not quite as ideal as getting the Beast Energy onto the Blacephalon. That puts things in range a lot easier. It means you don't have to Mind Blown as many energy into the Lost Zone. But getting the one-hit knockout on the Tapu Koko here could still be pretty decent.
He's grabbed himself at least a basic energy. That's good for him. Second Naganadel hits the field. He's got Ultra Ball as well if he wants to discard anything else.
也是贴在 FB 社团那里，那我找不到。那就要看一下那是什么说了。
Yeah, and maybe he might be thinking about potentially getting the Blacephalon out and actually doing his manual attachment to that and going for the Burst GX. He's looked at his prize cards, so he knows where the Fire Energies are, so that would be a pretty much guaranteed hit for him.
That could be an option, thinking that 80 damage isn't really worth anything on this Tapu Koko, as he could simply knock it out in one shot later. That's what we're going to be seeing here, Nick. He's going to pay retreat. He can use charging up again on his second Naganadel if he wants to as well.
Yeah.
And he can end his turn taking one prize, and he knows the location of those Fire Energies, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
The fantastic play here from Henrique. Burst GX, hitting the Fire Energy and attaching it to the Blacephalon.
And that's why you see some of these players opting to use the Eye Opener, the new Poipole, as opposed to the older Poipole that we saw in the same expansion as the Naganadel GX. Even though Poison can do some good math fixing, that Eye Opener synergizes so well with Burst GX.
Yeah, it really does, and being proof in the pudding right here, as now we go back to Pedro's turn. He could go for another Flying Flip, sort of at the worst here. He would be put in a little bit more work than it did last turn, given that there's now, a Blacephalon and a Tapu Lele that can take the Flying Flip damage as well. But Pedro has just gone straight away for that Necrozma GX, put it onto the bench, got an energy on it. He's going to be digging for that KO on the Blacephalon.
Yep, he's drawn into Acrobike Energy and a Mysterious Treasure. Good ways to discard things. If he can get some more Psychic Recharges going, he could go for an early Black Ray if he wants to, or start trying to go for big Prismatic Bursts.
Yeah, and it looks like, I thought for a second he might have played the Tate and Liza only drawing the 5, but no, he just forgot to draw his 6th card. There it is in his hand now. He's going to play the Mysterious Treasure, discarding the Psychic Energy, or maybe he's going to go for an Acrobike first.
Acrobike's first energy card is always what you want to see. Bingo.
Fantastic. So there's now 2 Psychic Energy in the discard, ready to be recharged back to the Necrozma, and that will be enough to pick up the KO on the Blacephalon GX.
Here he goes. Psychic Recharge. That Necrozma GX looking ready to go. One slightly awkward thing is that his Shrine of Punishment is now going to be damaging his own guys, and it also puts Henrique into B-String range, so a little bit risky knockout, but to keep up, that's what he's got to do here.
Yeah, absolutely does, and he picks up the Tapu Lele from his prizes as well, so we'll be able to make use of that later on if he decides to do a few more spreads, and just really finish off the game that way with just a magical swap, as we've seen so many times already. But like you said, now Henrique does have access to B-Strings, so depending on how many he's able to find and whether he's able to get another Blacephalon down, this could be a really phenomenal turn from Henrique.
Henrique, with that 1-card hand, the Cynthia, he was able to draw for turn and energy, attaching it to his Naganadel as well as a charging up. That can do a good chunk to a Necrozma GX as well, thanks to weakness.
That's actually going to KO it, because 80 is going to double to 160, and then the Shrine of Punishment damage is going to KO it.
That's what we said. It was a risk to put that Necrozma GX into the active position. Henrique immediately identifying it and getting himself a fresh hand here at the same time. Not any B strings just yet, but if he gets any, that's going to put him in great shape.
Yeah, no Blacephalons either, and we do see that, yeah, he has the Heat Factory Prism Star in his hand, but of course he's not going to play that because he knows that he can just take the KO.
2 more prize cards for Enrique. Again, he's looking exactly at what card he wants. He's going to get himself back a Blacephalon that he knew that was in the prizes, as well as a Cynthia. Yeah,
so he'll be able to set himself up very nicely for next turn. And in spite of Pedro having the better start here at the beginning of the game, you've got to think to yourself that Enrique has played it exactly perfectly to swing the tide back into his favor.
He's in a phenomenal spot now. He's got himself into, again, the turning point of the game. As we said, he's at the 3 prize cards. So this Naganadel, if not answered this turn, could be doing even more damage. And once again, there's a Naganadel on his bench that could also just instantly respond on this Giratina. He's racing through prizes all over again.
Yeah, he's playing this absolutely phenomenally, and I think this proves sort of how he was able to do so well.
We're going to see Pedro use that Shadow Impact in addition to Shrine of Punishment to start taking prizes as he's continuing to race here.
Yeah, this is he's really back and forth game at this point, but yeah, Enrique showing how he was able to beat Malamar before, in spite of it being perhaps not the best, most favorable matchup in the world. Just the power of the Blacephalon combined with Naganadel can really just overwhelm any matchup it comes up against.
And Pedro identifying that because it is the turning point turn for Enrique, that he's going to put the 4 damage counters on his Giratina anyway, as it is not that useful. Enrique, interestingly enough, is going to commit a GX to the board here, as well as putting in that stadium, the Heat Factory, because Pedro's just down 2 prize cards, and this is a bit of a risk from Enrique here.
Yeah, it is potentially. There's a Guzma from the Acrobike as well. A lot of fire energy in Enrique's hand, but with the Blacephalon going down, there is an opening for Pedro to take the win if he's able to do enough damage in 1 turn.
There's always that threat when there are 3 Malamars on the board, and we're seeing 3 Psych Energy instantly hit the discard pile as Enrique goes down to 2 prizes of his own. If Pedro can find a way to get maybe something like a Rescue Stretcher or reaccess,
原本18时星号2结束后再跳时。哦，对，忘了普奈帕超。
There's a distortion coming back to the bench, and Pedro putting 1 damage on each of the Naganadel on the bench and the Blacephalon. There goes a spell tag onto the Giratina as well as free psychic energy, so another Shadow Impact is coming. I don't think Enrique can take 2 prizes before Pedro could seals out this game.
Ooh, wow, it's a big Guzma.
Wow.
Again, targeting down this Blacephalon. Again, Shadow Impact doing 130 damage to this Blacephalon, putting it in range. And this is going to be a huge attack here. I think Pedro's put himself into a fantastic spot.
Yeah, and this is going to be the point where Enrique needs to find a Guzma. If he KOs this Giratina, the game ends instantly. 4 damage counters go to the Blacephalon, and then we're going into game 3, so he cannot KO this Giratina.
The good news is that he does have a Guzma in his hand, so he's not just going to be in that really awkward spot of having to, pay retreat and do something else. So Enrique going to keep the pressure on, using that Guzma, keeping that a little bit safer, whilst also getting rid of a free retreating Tapu Koko, getting around that spell tag once again. Enrique down just to 1 prize now, and it's it's a good pickup, really big. Is he going to be able to finish off? Wow, we're going to see it. The Guzma, he can just simply use the 1 energy attack, or just retreat.
Yeah,
he had plenty of options to finish off that Blacephalon.
结束了后面有小叠叠。
He had it guaranteed regardless, I think, because he had the Tapu Lele in his
swap. He could do any. He could do all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. He had so many win conditions there, just using one of them to take the win, and we are tied at 1 game apiece.
That's really exciting stuff. We saw great play from both players there. Enrique trying to be as aggressive as possible, using his opponent's Shrine of Punishment against him to take 2 big prizes with a Naganadel, and trying to have as many non-GXs on the board as possible. But it was that benching of the 1 Blacephalon. As soon as his B-strings were offline, it did seem to be a bit of a risk, and Pedro capitalized on that straight away.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing where he wanted to bench it to have it in case he needed it to take a knockout, but because that left a 2 prize liability on the board, Pedro was able to capitalize on that to just take the win.
And we again see the power of that Giratina coming straight back onto the board once again, just always available. Once you've got your Malamars in play, the deck just sort of pilots itself. It just says, oh, that thing that you just destroyed, I can get all 4 of those components back and start putting it back.
第2回合3有1也蛮难输的。
Time and time again, we see some of the best Pokemon decks are these ones where it seems that no matter how many of their threats that you go through, there's just more coming. And with Giratina, your opponent can never run out of Giratina unless you somehow stop them using abilities, because if it's in a discard pile, it can just always keep coming back. And each time it does, it actually does more damage to you.
This is going to be a thrilling conclusion to the junior finals here. Both players demonstrating why they have made it this far through the tournament. Both their decks running smoothly now. We've had one awkward game where Pedro let himself into a bad start, but this game where he was able to set up much more efficiently, he was able to get the job done. Enrique struck his stuff as well, doing that stylish eye-opener play, and then going for a burst GX and also taking his making sure he had plenty of supporters throughout the game. Both players at the top here doing so well.
Yeah, and both players very sporting as well. We just see there just a little bit of shots of players, but they were smiling at each other, they were having a good time, and that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, you have to, even at the highest level of competitors play, good sportsmanship is something that's always really important to have, and it's great to see from really some role model players here on the final table.
Yeah, definitely showing their maturity despite their age. A couple Inks leading off here for Pedro. It didn't look like he had any supporter cards, just a lots of energy cards, so that's going to be a concern.
And then looking at the prize cards,
那个普那个其他那个没有理他，不知道在他们不知道在讲什么。啊，握手，等一下，还没有放好。
Yeah, he plays 4.
身高不够高，好可爱哦！身高不够，手伸不到，要站起来才有办法放东西。握个手 ，OK， 最后一场打开，好可爱哦！
Here we go. Game 3. This is the deciding game for the junior finals here in São Paulo, Brazil. And Enrique will be going first, starting straight away with a Heat Factory discard.
Heat Factory getting himself into a Tapu Lele. Now he has
直接就丢了哈，7火再丢了。
Already with 2 points.
抽起来，抽起来。
It's already looking really strong.
不抽怎么赢？
您
说是吧？
And then with the Ultra Ball, get out Persephone and just use the Tapu Lele to grab a Synchro.
手好像还算可以。有一点不太行。
Discard, always going through the motions, making sure that you're making the right discards as he has.
我现在考虑要不要丢球。 怎么丢球？
Yeah, just making sure that he's discarding the right stuff. The choice band there in his hand, interestingly, sort of.
那其实火翼兽我没有组诶，自己没有组火翼兽。
It's a pretty easy discard.
Yeah, it's one of those things because he saw how Pedro played that second game, choosing to put the Necrozma GX in play. Maybe it's tempting to hold on to it just in case he can get another sneaky Naganadel knockout. So you can see why there's the debate, but he is eventually going to decide on that as the discard, as he's going to grab himself
这个时候他再
as
看一
well
个
as
这
a
个，
wonder tag here.
看个厉害。
Start refreshing his hand either with Cynthia, Sightseer, or that Lily that he does play.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'll be going for Sightseer here, given that he doesn't really have any fire engine in his hand. Lily does seem like the one. It is there.
It is there. It's in the deck. So he's going to be able to draw himself up to a large hand size here. He does still have a Mysterious Treasure if he wants to play it, but he might be holding it for some discards of fire energies if he draws it with this Lily.
其实我觉得小朋友的比赛不是说看了没什么意义，因为觉得说啊小朋友的比赛一定没什么。但有的时候小朋友的思维跟大家的思维就不太一样。那你们在做的时候，你们在看的时候，就大家在看的时候，哎，这个小朋友这样子不行。如果是我的话，我会怎么做？如果是身为大人的我，我会怎么做？ 这件事情就格外的重要。他这时候应该选择要不要停，要不要把火人留在手上。那如果不留在手上的话，等一下可能会不好下场。那这件事情就会稍显重要一点。那他就可能
没把他们实力比很多大人玩家强啊。
加紧，不要这么快的破梗。知道我什么意思？ 你知道我什么意思？不要这么快。他现在可能会想要不勉强用那个。
对。
Sort of setting his stall out that he wants to get as many charging ups as possible.
不勉强用火翼手。实际上，如果可以用贴的话，都很方便。
Could be thinking maybe I'm just committed to getting it with the Ultra Ball next turn. I believe he does have an Ultra Ball in his hand.
Yeah, there's a second Mysterious Treasure at the very least. So that could be what he has to go for, as he's just going to simply pass it over to Pedro here. No manual attachment is really awkward for him.
Yeah, that means that
小孩子比赛就是好玩可爱啊！你们不觉得他们？你看，就贴了。 全贴，全下，然后打睡觉，是睡觉吧？我记得是睡眠，睡觉，给我睡。 掷骰子，这边，好，没事，继续，看抽牌，
也要加支持啦！我国高中玩卡片都被骂。
哦，开一个场地，不要开场地好了。其实他现在有犹豫要不要开场地，因为想要抽个火人上来用抽，稍微小犹豫一下，小犹豫一下，把另外一张也拉起来，确定一下。现在打死那一只小鱿鱼会很亏哈，因为那个。能量问题。他现在想抓另外一只。
左边看起来是去了卡成功。
真的，如果他进牌有机会的话，那还有问题，他还有得救。如果他等下进牌有个竹篮的话，那还有得救。但如果没有的话，他真的就去了。
That was one of his 3 Naganadel searches.
Yeah, exactly.
So he might be just relying on the burst GX getting him out of a bad hand here, and to see if he can get himself any more energy cards, taking one of away from the offset.
Yeah, his hand is currently a Guzma and a Blacephalon.
Both players really working with not much right now, trying to make the most of.
我觉得左边打牌都太毒。
这小朋友的个性不一样了啊！爆。如果是我的话，其实不会去对火翼兽开局差，除非是前期想开，不然的话不开的理由很简单。如果我确认的牌组里面的水没有比较少，那我就不会这样做，我就不做了。
上把他也是右手人物才有得打。
拿股子嘛，拿睡眠，
亏还。
有没起来？哦，是。我跟你讲，开始要搞无双了哈，现在开始就是无双了。先不要下，先下人物。他只有2张，先下一张小丑。跟他说，哎，我有小丑哦，你不要动哦。我有小丑。不要让你动，来再资格。哇，手抽干了，拉个双，241，进来恢复。来换你抽牌。哎呦，突然进手了，我看，看神抽。哎，是个神抽呢。
Hypnosis flip looking huge now.
Pedro rips the Simpios to the deck and is now right back into this game and in a really good position to capitalize on Enrique's 0-card hand.
Yeah, now it seems that Enrique's on that clock of not doing much.
太神啦！
See what he can get from these.
我记得以前好像也发生过几次这种事情。我的意思是说，哎呦，看，好像有机会。
真的是打到这边了，这样都叫基本操作。
真的是神抽都是基本操作。怎么神抽都是基本操作。哎呦！下一个，他下下去，确定？你确定？对手会有牌哦。小朋友要确定哦。他如果真的要下去的话，就是亏吧。因为对手会，他应该要先撤退。
他要赌双无。
我知道他想赌双无。你要先，你看他卡在上面，你看他先撤退，你看，啊，我跟你讲，如果大师的话，我觉得这样是不行。你看，你看裁判说不可以的。裁判在帮他整理了。你弄乱他乱七八糟了，这样子会让人怀疑你有，就是你的台面上要弄得很干净。他在算，但裁判在算的话，快回去看摄影机，看他有没有问题。因为那个刚刚弟弟把桌上弄得很乱，那一个弄乱了，他会觉得他有问题，给他应该 应该放他过吧。从画面上好像没什么问题啊。他要收回，他没有确定机构。如果他刚才可能是对他的进化的部分疑虑，你下去了，然后想撤退，然后要弄乱。
我以后要把桌子弄得很乱，让魏军帮我整理。
没有，我会直接把你 DQ 掉。
这边判有没有咆哮？
他判他有没有咆哮？应该是判。
But if you're Enrique, you've got to be breathing a sigh of relief at this point, thinking I had absolutely nothing, and now look at that. He's trying to hand us Seer psychic energy, Poi-Pol fire energy.
Wow, that's amazing.
我的年龄是打这个组别吗？
不知道你几岁
？Right.
再说一次。来个双吧。睡醒来了。开杀喽。
And man, he's going to start motoring this turn again. All the charging up, down, a manual attachment to the Cephalon. There is always the concern that there are spell tags.
这个时候他决定要不要开人物，或者是不开人物。他决定要不要开人物，可能可以选择把。就是用观光客把那个丢掉，然后来开，因为他现在身上有劳童贴，实在是很麻烦，所以他用烧伤的方式让他自己 pose。好，但是他继续烧。他继续烧。烧伤混乱哈。其实这样是对的，不然劳童贴，只是那个诅咒符文哈会让他 pose， 那就造成那个容易会在这个时候死掉。那他这样做就是对的。
He'd prefer not to in most situations, but here he's identifying that he needs to simply refresh his hand.
的话应该
again have the option to retreat the Inke.
我要看一下规则。我等下看一下规则。你如果不在 Junior， 应该在 Senior， 应该在青少年。忘记是几岁开头，15到18吗？我有点忘记了，等下看一下。我没有背，我没有背那一块。哎呀。小尴尬。他是要撤退再进化呢？把费撤退。
retreat out of his Inke now.
Yep.
Starting to use that flying flip attack. There are
3
GX Pokemon on Enrique's side of the field, so this is going to be really integral. As he is now going to evolve up into a Malamar, he could start Psychic Recharging and getting Giratinas rolling if he wants to.
Yeah, that was a really
他手上现在2只旗
，2只
旗啊哈。手太小，就不要学刷牌了。
一看就觉得是东京冠军那套。
We're just seeing Pedro mulling over if he wants to put a Giratina on this board and use a Psychic Recharge. Not this turn. He's just going to commit to a flying flip. As you mentioned,
小朋友对算这种东西最困难。
has already been trying to play around those spell tags. Evidently,
小朋友最困难的，一天到晚就增加小朋友的难度呢。
Proves the power of that spell tag. Those 4 counters in the right position. Just so awkward.
Yes, a lot of these great cards sort of present these catch-22 situations to the opponent where you think, I don't want to KO this thing with the spell tag because I'm going to take 4 damage, but at the same time, if I don't, then I'm just going to do psychic recharges, and it's like you can't.
刚才他如果有绿的话，
But however, this turn there's no spell
可以
tag.
拿到骨枝嘛。
Coco in the active position, so there's no
他
headache for Henrique.
没有开那个人物，我觉得有那么一点点小灰。我觉得啦，我个人觉得有那么一点点小灰啊。
Beast energy could be pretty good because that would mean that he needs to lost zone 1 less energy to do the attack. Although has he already attached manually this turn?
I believe he attached to his bench Blacephalon this turn.
Okay, so he will have to lost zone 3 energy to get the KO with Mind Blown on the Tapu Koko. Not the end of the world when he plays many energy as the Blacephalon deck does, but still could be a bit better.
Yeah, so 3 energy being committed to the lost zone for this Mind Blown attack. And Pedro not committing a Psychic Recharge last turn to any of his board means that he's actually in this awkward position now. Almost having to find an extra energy card to move a new active Pokemon.
然后被爆杀一顿。
That's going to be awkward for him. A big Ultra Ball pickup could be nice though.
然后被爆杀。不过他现在手上还有个选择是撤退，然后让芝麻。
现在又陆地没能源了，有点尴尬。
小尴尬。他能源一直下不去，然后也上不。
Yeah, I mean there are 2 Malamars available, but he has no draw power regardless. So just having the manual attachment would be the same as using both psychic recharges. The only difference being attached to your active rather than just to 2 bench targets. But there's not much going for him here.
No, there really isn't. So
he could, I guess he could double psychic recharge and do a shadow punch with a Mars Shadow, or even double psychic recharge to his benched Malamar and get an attack in. Instead, he's going to go for the rescue stretcher, pull back that Tapu Koko, commit the attachment, recharge to it. He does have a Guzma, so maybe trying to pull something up here.
Yeah, and now additionally going to go for the Ultra Ball on the 2 Giratinas. He's really agonizing over it though.
He might want to be in one of those situations where he lets his opponent know that he has no cards in his hand. He doesn't really want to let Enrique know how weak he really is and keep that hidden. If he's not going to be using the Giratinas anyway this turn, just holding some cards means that Enrique has to play around other things rather than just a top deck.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, well, Enrique was in that exact situation where he was forced to play his entire hand, and that didn't work out for him. There is the Guzma going to bring up Tapu Lele on Enrique's bench. Pedro brings up his Tapu Koko, and we're going to see yet another flying flip.
乱杀，再杀，一直杀。
Flying flip, putting again, most importantly, the GX Pokemon in range of shadow impacts from now on, and both of his Malamars protected somewhat with spell tags is also an important thing to note here.
Yeah, we could also see, like we mentioned in the last game, the potential Black Ray opening here. 1 Black Ray plus 1 magical swap at this point would seal the game for Pedro. There'd definitely be enough damage on the field.
I think I've just seen Enrique. He's got himself a Guzma in his hand. He could once again try and target down GX Pokemon on Pedro's side of the field and go for a large Mind Blown. Depending on how many fire energies are still in his discard pile,
他如果贴一个异兽能，然后把3颗拔掉的话，可以杀敌，是吧？杀敌。但是他下回合就会陷入没东西贴的。
The Tapu Lele, but
不过其实应该也差不多了。
I think he's seriously debating it.
The only concern for him is he doesn't always have the guarantee of a B string working. As he said, one of the win conditions for Pedro could simply be spreading for the whole game and going for a black row to win all at once.
Yeah.
So if Enrique does commit, 3 energies to this,
然后，摄影机发生什么事？
It's not without its consequences.
摄影机发生什么事？吓到！
There it is. Mind Blown KOs Tapu Lele. 2 more prizes for Enrique. 2 prizes away from winning the Latin American International Championships.
It's just an in-K draw.
Oh, wow.
This is really rough for Pedro. He's once again in the spot where he can't do much but flying flip here.
I guess another thing, again, by Enrique doing this, he has played around a little bit. The Psychic Engine being in the discard pile. I'm not quite sure how many Pedro has access to, but given that he committed 2 to the Tapu Koko, I can only imagine that, yeah, this is going to be a bit tricky for him. And, he just goes for the Tapu Lele promo.
Yeah, he's going for the Tapu Lele potential magical swaps down the line. I don't think there's enough Psych Energy in his discard pile to use it this turn, but it's definitely something you can keep an eye out for. If Enrique is going to allow Pedro to continue to flying flip, it's going to be something that could eventually become a really useful tool for him here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like we thought, the Guzma
看到对面丢2个奇拉，应该后悔杀叠叠了。Walla Walla.
Psychic energy in Pedro's discard pile for him psychic recharge.
Just those Distortion Door Giratinas if he wants to commit them to his board. There's going to be one of them coming onto the board. Ooh, it's going to be both.
Oh, wow.
4 damage counters being put onto the board here just from abilities alone.
Yeah. I think he's happy to commit both in the sense that Enrique needs to take 2 knockouts to win the game, so there will always be at least 1 bench slot available later on for a Tapu Lele promo to be benched.
Absolutely. So here is the flying flip. It means that the Tapu Lele and the Blacephalon both in the back are in range of a Black Ray GX attack. The active Blacephalon not quite there, but Pedro's dangerously close. With 1 good draw, he could actually win the game next turn.
Yeah, it's definitely favored to Enrique right now, but Pedro could just, like I said, out of nowhere, just steal a win, which as these Malamar variants can often do. There's an acro bike for what looks to be a fire energy and a rescue stretcher. He's got to be happy to see that. Fire energy actually goes to his hand just so he has one to commit to the active.
没裁判要被小叠叠秀了。
Ultra Ball if he wants to change his mind and gets them back into the discard pile. He also has Sightseeing. He has plenty of outs if he needs to discard that card. Yeah. But the Rescue Stretch are doing him no good regardless.
And actually, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the game, I said, you know, oh, the Malamar variant doesn't really have like the same capability of playing around B string like the Decidueye deck does. It actually does in a sense because it can just, take this route of you're taking 6 rounds in 1 turn. It's just a lot more dodgy until you get there.
Bye.
Yeah, that's true because one of the great things about taking prize cards in the Pokemon trading card game is it's extra draws.
Yes, exactly.
So you're having to forego drawing cards just to try and make this end game strategy work, and at the moment Pedro could really use a few more cards in his hand.
Yeah, he absolutely could, and it might be that he's forced to magical swap just to take a few prizes, just to take 4 at least, so he has more cards to work with, but does still play around the B string.
Enrique really going to try and look to find some discardables off of this Cynthia. He needs to find Fire Energies and ways to discard them because, you know, he could get the knockout on this Tapu Koko by just discarding all of his energies, but that comes with great risk.
Really
oh wow, it's huge!
That could not have asked for a better draw if he tried. Ultra Ball plus 2 Fire Energies, discard those both, get whatever, and then charging up and take the knockout on the Tapu Koko.
That is phenomenal from Enrique. Exactly what he's looking for. This is why you see 17 energy cards in this deck list. It's for these moments. He's also
突然变成了慢动作化。
The most important thing for him
要加速啊！不对 ，no no no no， 等一下，
opted to not do that. But
这个串流怪怪的哦，
so that he can use these charging up so that
太夸了啦！
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic.
哇，一下子慢动作，一下快动作。
2 charging ups, and then Enrique is going to only be 1 prize card away from winning the Latin American Internationals.
We need to start doing some counting because we know there is a magical swap potential somewhere.
Whoa! Whoa!
He's just discarded 3 energy cards. Oh, sorry, lost zone 3 energy cards.
Bong bong bong.
Mind blown.
The beast energy, of course,
还好抽一张，现在关键是看左边下一张竞牌。
他抽响了啦。
Looks like it. Just another draw of a basic Pokemon for Pedro, so he's not able to do anything else this turn. It does not matter. Enrique is the juniors. Winner here.
太酷了，太酷了！竞买起来没东西，真的是纯白了。直接投降。
如果进能量就是左边赢了。
Junior Champion OK， 哦，我们
下去。
这边暂停一下，我们来看一下刚才那边。
谷子马也是。
刚才那里，好，我们把它点开来。
And if you're able to just sweep up a few prizes as quickly as that, the game can be over.
Yeah, it's a pretty consistent deck once it gets set up too, with the double Macargo, the double Oranger as well.
Yeah, and that
好，这个是刚才 Pedro Hancre 跟 Nicholas Glass 这个部分。那因为已经被确认了，那个 Pedro 好像有作弊，这是 Pedro 的部分有问题。Pedro 部分有问题吗？看一下。然后他就其中有一边有做错哈，那他就爆了。对，没错，是 Pedro 这边有问题。哦，我们就来看一下他到底是哪边的问题。据说是在4分钟左右，我们来看一下，3分35。我们往前看，往后稍往后看一点。他开了高级。
Maybe I'm getting too excited. We'll have to see.
被 DQ。
等下被 DQ 了，我们来看一下原因是什么。这东西很重要。这个之后我会再时间好聊一下，当然私下聊啦，或者是跟你讲。
Yeah, that's definitely right. It helps.
看一下他现在的动作，他已经是在这个地方出了一点。
还是前 UT。
He does go for that textbook Professor Elm's lecture off of this Wonder Tag, and he's going to start developing lots of Zorua here.
我们看一下他这个地方的动作是哪里的动作。他拿了，他先拿这3个出来，确认一下。
and really why we see Zoroark being so dominant as it is today.
我先看一下他到底是哪里的位置。啊，这个时候画面再看，刚好看到了，刚好看到了。OK， 第一张是臭臭泥哦，所以这边很重要。看他怎么洗。
He is playing things like Professor Kukui, so a flying flip later down the line might be something that he actually looks for.
他好像没有动到第一张。哦，他没有切，他真的没有切。
Yeah, since he will be more lean towards attacking, he does have cards that will help him actually knock out Granbull in one hit. In Professor Kukui, he plays Devoured Field instead of that Lysander's Lab.
撤退。
Wow, he's gonna commit to a retreat here.
Yeah, well, you're not really scared of your opponent being able to evolve and take a knockout this turn. So your Zoro is pretty safe.
所以等下确认一下，
It's such a strange move because you can always just do it next turn, regardless.
No, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He has that Zoroark GX and the double colorless in his hand. He is ready to go.
It's for the intimidation factor. Here we go.
Yeah, so you were right. Yeah. That was a very quick turn one from Nicholas, and that's maybe why he felt comfortable retreating into the Zoro. He's like, yeah, you didn't even get a snubble out?
Okay.
Well, he's going to be able to go through his deck a little bit more now, as he has been able to evolve up straight into a Zeb Striker, as well as a Mad Cargo, burning a switch as well to lower his hand size, smoothing over a perfect card to the top here. He may either have the option to sprint into it or instruct into it, because he is holding onto a choice band with his current third card in hand, so he could just instruct into an Apricot Maker, start developing some snubbles.
Checking through his deck, making sure what he's prized. We saw his opponent in the last Swiss round prize to snubble to
这样，然后切下去，他只切在这位置上面，所以他这个动作的部分啊，他这样子放下去的时候，无论怎么切，五只马都在第一张，然后他就这样子站起来，然后他给那个对手尼克拉斯的时候，尼克拉斯拿过来却没有切牌，所以他翻起来第一张就一定会是五只马，所以各位你在做的时候，你自己的动作一定要小心啊。你这样切牌没有关系，但是你一定要做一点别的动作。切牌要仔细。好，他现在这样做，他等地是直接就可以做了哈。
Second Nespal being played here. And it's Snubble number 2.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see since Pedro's deck is a little bit different from the other control variants. It's more focused on attacking, like I've said. So because of that, Diantha actually turns into a pretty good card in this matchup, just being able to get back those resources like the energy that have been discarded.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on as the game progresses, how Pedro will sort of switch up his playstyle, whether he is going to be aggressive throughout the game or whether he's going to take, you know, key prizes, things like the Mad Cargo, and slow down the progression.
这样也要赌对方不切。
当然是要赌对方不切啊。实际上，对方如果不切的话，他就是爆了。他还是有办法可以拉出来。他只是在赌对方不切而已。他就是刚才那个动作，我这样子切，不知道画面上看，就是你摄影机上看得出来。他摄影机这样子切，这样切，这样切。我故意不切我第一张，故意不切到我第一张。 有没有？第一张故意不切到，怎么升起来都是我要的那个东西。所以第一张这个是观光客，就这样子放着，这样子切，好，动作我很认真的切，先切啊，只要裁判没有认真，所以是
对方不切他就被判作弊，然后被 DQ。
对，因为他这个动作很明显，他这个动作很明显，他就是。 故意不洗，他就是故意不洗。今天如果他就算切了，他也会被判作弊，因为他那个动作非常的明显。
We do see more trades as he's going to build up his hand, get rid of an enhanced hammer, not the matchup for this one, and he can end his turn.
听说对面出了名的不爱切，
or he could try and trap this around.
他就是故意不切他。
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially when you kind of have to switch between these two real ways of playing your deck.
It's always flexible for him. He's actually just drawn into that Ditto Prism Star. It would be awkward for him to have to play it down just so that he could get an all-out attack off, but that might be what he has to do here. He's deciding to do it before the smooth over here. And the awkward thing about sprinting is that you're drawing 4 cards, so you are always trying to find ways to get down to 0 if possible. If you can't find a Shrine of Punishment, at the very least.
Yeah, so he either has 2 options here. One option that he can do is guarantee the all-out by essentially getting Apricorn Maker on top of his deck. Meaning you can just search for Ultra Ball, discard whatever you draw if you're not able to play it, or you can just search for a couple Great Balls and maybe fail those. Otherwise, he can get the Shrine of Punishment and hope he just draws into something like a Fiery Flint where he can discard his hand.
Let's see how Nicholas has tried to play it. He's got himself a couple Fairy Energy, it looks like.
Yeah,
he's going to commit one of those to a Snubble.
Looking like much, but thankfully with the Choice Band, he is doing 60 with All Out, which means next turn it will be able to take a knockout. So he kind of took this turn off of
这是牌套的关系，可以这样洗牌吗？
The manual attachment was onto the Gramble this turn, doing it all out just for 60, as you said, still setting up.
出了名的不爱切嘛。其实那我们就要看看 Nicholas 他的习惯，就是你要从其他 Nicholas 的那个切牌的影片，就是从他在跟别人对战的实况作上面，你才会知道他的动作是不是真的不爱切。那你如果是这样子的话，那你肯定是已经确定了对方就是不喜欢切牌，那你就是抓到对方的这个习惯去做，那就是更明显的作弊。像我现在这样子，我现在手这样子做，那我其实从头到尾都没有动第一张。 我都没有动第一张哦，我都没有动到第一张，看起来好像有动，但是我从头到尾都没有动啊，从头到尾都没有动啊，我就是一直这样切，这样切，然后看起来好像有动到，啊，就我拿起来，还是我要的那一张，这不是牌套的问题，是你在做的时候。
我看线上群说，无论切不切都会被判，
一定的，他不论切不切都会被判，
想请问在洗牌的部分有特别规定吗？ 因为他没动第一张，
他就是故意不动第一张，就是你们说这个游戏网面叫叠牌嘛，他就是叠牌的动作，他就是不动去动的。你洗牌的时候，他官方没有写说洗牌的时候要怎么样，他只说你要确实的洗干净，那对手可以有切牌的权利。 那基本上切牌是基本上大多数
人都只是切牌而不是洗牌。
那是因为洗牌真的太浪费时间。而且对手只能帮你切最后一刀，比如说这个在这边跟大家讲的观点就是一开始大家就是在玩 Pokemon 蛮多人会这样子，就是拿过来比如说对手，比如说我开完球。 然后我洗完，这样洗一洗，我洗一洗牌，然后洗一洗牌，然后我交给对手，我对手拿过来之后，他也洗，可以洗牌，可以洗牌，然后洗过来之后，最后的动作是这样，
真的表情无解，打比赛时间都不够了，还花时间洗牌。
一刀，基本上这一刀对手给你的，如果对手
可是如果他当下看切完示意裁判，而裁判给过，那还会被判吗？
会，因为那个动作就是没有，他不是说我同意你不切，不代表你叠牌没有罪。懂我意思吗？他现在的问题在于，他本身做这件事情的动作是不照规矩的，你看，他要请对手切牌，请对手切牌。如果对手不切牌，那是他的权利。但是如果你的动作是确实有去作弊的，就是你去叠，去故意去叠这一个动作，你去故意去叠它，你去故意去叠，然后你就不要动这一张，然后怎么拿都是被人家发现说，哦，你已经，好，我们再回去看。我们不要那个我们就直接再回去给你看那个动作。来，你看哦，再看一次哦，你看哦，他现在回去，我们现在回去刚才他那个动作，其实你们仔细的看一下现在画面，他等一下会等一下，你看哦，来，好。 他的这一张不知道画面上看不清楚，那一张确实是臭你没有错。好，我现在知道那张确实是臭。那接下来他开始洗牌， 3、4，好像甚至是从上画面这样看下去，都可以很确定的知道，他这样子下来的时候是很刻意的去，你看把这一张隔在这边，像这样把它隔在这里这样子，好，你看这样子隔起来，然后给对手就不切拿过来。先起来就他要的东西，好吧？就是一个像这样子的动作，非常明显。他就是我就是想要锁你，抽你很重要的原因是因为他算是蛮针对布网跟现在场上很多这种东西，因为他连他连其他也锁，所以达克莱伊也锁，达克莱伊当然锁。那基本上这一张在这个还有跟实验室变成说在这个大会里面变成蛮重要的一个东西。那大家都知道了，所以他的问题是我今天我不管怎么切，我只要不动第一张，我只要动作很明显，在他们回去 check VOD 的时候，在检查 VOD 有人申诉，可能是有人申诉，或者是他们在事后检查 VOD 的时候，
不要跟我提到臭臭泥，
提到他臭臭泥，提到臭臭泥，把臭臭泥放在那个位置上面啊，放在第一张啊，怎么洗？臭臭泥都摆在第一张 ，OK， 就是这样子。他就会被判，我怎么洗？然后只要你不切，你就算你切不切，就是刚刚讲的，不是你切不切的问题，是他有没有确实的去洗牌这个动作。如果他确实有这样子洗，他最后面确实有这样子洗啊，去做前后调配啊、切牌啊，然后不要去做什么动到他的动作的话，基本上都不会怎么样，但他刚才就只有切之后呢，然后就给对手也不切一下，那就是对手亏啦。当然对手亏是事实，不过他现在这样子，就这样子很明显就是作弊了。那他被 DQ 了，就是他应该啊。那很明显的这一场我们就没有了亚军哈，亚军就直接消失，我们就直接出了冠军。好，我们现在回来看看，等一下这个部分会是青少年组。你们可以休息一下。等一下再回来看一下青少年组。
With just single prize attackers, unless something goes wrong, it's really gonna be an uphill battle.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we're gonna have to see if the matchup does indeed play out that way as these players get set up and ready to go. I don't believe they're quite ready just yet, but they're just psyching themselves up. They're thinking, right, we're in the senior division finals here. There's a lot on the line. Just want to make sure get myself ready. A lot of the success.
可能是我这边画面开太久，因为我其实已经把这个画面放一整天了哈。
Whenever I come to play, yeah, not often have I been up on.
可能是跟我网络有关系。其实我一直把网页开着，然后就让它放这里。
These players are
having
to go through this whole weekend and finally making it here and essentially like, all right, I'm one game away from being international champion.
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling to have no matter which way you look at it, but just making sure that nervousness
其实我现在是有点想要赌
too much doesn't get to you, that you can just steel yourself.
8强的牌我都有点想。
pretty much what you've done throughout this entire tournament, just win one more game, one more match rather. That's all it takes to attain that prestigious title.
And no more waiting around. I believe our players are ready at this stage. Take it away, Joe.
8强 deck。
Thanks, Jeremy. Yes, it is time to get the senior division finals underway. First of all, though, we do need to introduce our two finalists to the stage. So please join me in welcoming from the USA, first of all, Christian Moreno.
还有那个第一个日神那个也是很特。为什么他画面就是有点 lag？ 我搞不懂为什么。
and get yourselves over to our playing area. Have a great game. Back to you guys.
看来是。
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And I recognized the name Daniel. He was, of course, the junior champion for the internationals in Europe last year.
Oh, wow. So definitely no stranger.
I was commentating that game. I should have known that. Like, that's a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah, it'll definitely
S 组身高也差太多。
For sure.
这身高也差太多，这根本是成长差别吧？这个 Junior 组真的差太多了吧？这身高哦，母汤。哦，我看到 Top 8的 deck，Top 8的 deck。
这两个同年吗？
应该是差个1-2岁有吧？我觉得差个1-2岁，我觉得应该是。
to only Ultra Beast Pokemon. We've said time and time again, so many of the top tier metagame decks right now do feature Ultra Beast in some shape or form that it's almost not even a drawback in that sense.
Yeah. And then, of course, for the Blacephalon deck, he does have a few options himself, using that one of Marshadow with that let loose ability to really disrupt your opponent early game. And here we see Christian Moreno. Look at his accomplishments. Top 32 at Worlds this past year, top 16 the year before, top 8 the year before that, and then of course top 8 at the London International Tournament in 2 years ago.
That is an insane run of high finishes at the World Championships. 3 years in a row, so top 32, top 16, and top 8. That is incredibly impressive.
And then we see, of course, his deck Buzzwole, Lycanroc, Ninetales archetype that has been doing pretty well for the weekend. Ninetales really just pushing this deck forward, being able to search for those B strings during those very crucial turns.
Yeah, just any kind of ability that lets you just search for items you need out of your deck. Items are usually the sorts of things that you kind of have to rely on drawing into with draw cards. Usually there aren't many things that actually search them out. So when you do have something that enables you to just get them the exact item you need at the right time, it makes Alolan Ninetales one of the most impressive GXs from Lost Thunder.
这个战绩挺猛的。
His accomplishments, of course, like you said, the 2017 Europe International Champion, top 8 at the Oceania Internationals as well, top 8 at last season's Latin American Internationals, and then top 8 at North American Internationals. Definitely no stranger here, and he's really hoping for another win.
So that means that he's top-8'd, at least top-8'd rather, the last 4 internationals in a row.
Wow.
And that's 5 now because he's obviously in the final here.
This is the definition of consistency here for Daniel, and he is really looking to cement his resume here.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Now, just going into the list quickly, obviously we can talk about the list now that the players have their headsets on. Something interesting I noticed about Daniel's list is that unlike Zach's list that we saw in the top 8 yesterday, Daniel is playing 2 Energy Switch.
Yeah, definitely could be a reason why he was able to take down that Zoroark control in top 8.
看起来小丑也要涨价了。
小丑涨价已经很高了，
Yeah, because obviously if you don't have access to B strings, then there's a real possibility of attaching more than one energy in one turn to a Blacephalon.
这大家就是说，有人说裁判一定是第一级的，我觉得是不至于啦，我觉得是不至于啦。
Yeah, he does. It's not really ideal. Meanwhile, from Daniel's side, I don't think his prizes were anywhere near as bad by comparison.
Yeah, 1-1 Naganadel, and one thing to point out, he only does play the 3. Where some opt to play the 4, so it could come up, especially if he has to discard it with maybe a burst GX.
Yeah,
不过这一次的好像真的蛮多。
Senior finals for the Latin American International Championships with Christian Moreno going first.
Yeah, Ultra Ball discarding another Ultra Ball and then Alolan Ninetales. Really just trying to figure out what is prized and try to make a game plan from there. As soon as you see your opponent flip over that Blacephalon GX, you know exactly what you're playing against.
Yeah, and just going straight for the Buzzwole there.
刚才其实我看到一个
one of the most impactful non-GX attackers we've seen in a long time, especially towards the early stages of the Sun and Moon on standard format. Seen playing so many different things. Just even the first attack, if of course it does 30 damage regularly, but if your opponent has 4 prize cards remaining, it does 120. It's kind of proven even when you don't have that sledgehammer turn where you get the extra damage with it, it's just still so efficient because it does a lot of damage on a non-GX.
Yeah, and it's really thanks to all those damage modifiers. Having the other choice band in his deck, the last one with the 2 prized, pretty good here, along with that Diancie Prism Star, and then a Lily for 7 cards turn 1.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic stuff from Christian here, and to get the unit energy as well, just attaches that to the active and then passes over to Daniel. How is he going to respond to this?
Yeah, getting that unit energy on the Vulpix is super threatening for Daniel right now, because that could mean a Sublimation GX as soon as turn 2.
Yeah, that would really be not ideal for Daniel, although if that's the case, Daniel could then respond with a Beast Ring immediately.
Yeah, and that's really going to be the key to this matchup, is how each player utilizes their Beast Ring turns, and if they're going to be able to capitalize on taking all these knockouts.
Yeah, it's important to note as well, Daniel's hand is super strong. He's got a Mysterious Treasure, Ultra Ball, and about 3 fire energy, so not only can he discard a bunch of energy, but he can pretty much set up in exactly the way he needs to.
Yeah, and another key note here is with Naganadel in your deck, it is a Psychic attacker against these Psychic weak Buzzwole and Buzzwole GXs. Really could come into play here.
Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. Does he not have access to Tapu Lele? I think. Oh, okay. He prized one. I didn't think that would be an issue, but he only actually plays 1 in his list.
Oh wow. So depending on what his hand is.
Yeah, there it is.
Wow. This could be huge. We see Mysterious Treasure, but yeah, no other supporter card in his hand. Marshadow might be his only out to actually draw out of his hand.
Yeah, it will be. So, I mean, at the very least, he does have that, but... To take back what I said, thinking, yeah, he can set up amazingly exactly what he wants, but no, he has to Marshadow instead of going for maybe a Tapu Lele for a Lily.
And there it is, Let Loose Marshadow. Both players shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. Really the only way outside of the supporter card judge to combat what your opponent has.
Yeah, it's just exactly like Judge. Both players shuffle their hands into their decks and draw 4 cards afterwards. Daniel really needs to find some good stuff off of this Let Loose. We have seen Let Loose, come back.
突然觉得 EXP 的小丑好像很强。
Sometimes it doesn't look like Daniel's drawn that well off of his.
Yeah, double Guzma, double fire energy here.
Yikes.
Not what you're looking for. Meanwhile, Christian has a Cynthia in his hand. He will be able to draw all of it next turn.
He does, and a Burst GX there discarding a Cynthia from the prizes. Of course, no fire energy in the prizes, or no any kind of energy at all means that Burst GX is never going to get full value. But now Christian can just kind of run away with this game if he can.
Yeah, thinking about committing that Buzzwole GX to the field. It's definitely kind of a liability just because it's so easily one-hit by Mind Blown from Blacephalon GX. Just an insanely powerful attack.
Yeah, Christian really needs to just capitalize on this poor start that Daniel has had. It might even be a consideration to not use Sublimation GX if he's able to access it, because he doesn't necessarily know that Daniel's hand is as weak as we know it is. He could just think maybe he's holding onto a bunch of Beast Rings.
Yeah, well, he still didn't play a supporter, so if there's no way for him to actually get a Blacephalon next turn, then even Beast Ring's not really doing that much.
That is very true, of course.
But it looks like a bunch of energy in hand for Christian here.
Yeah, a bunch of energy. No, I mean, he did need 1 energy regardless, but there seems to be no way of accessing a Alolan Ninetales GX, so he will just be forced to Beacon, which at least will guarantee him the Alolan Ninetales for next turn.
没抽到9尾不能开 GX 哭哭。
没办法开。
Yeah, Daniel probably thinking, I suppose you could give me one of those, could you? Could really do with one right now.
You've used 2. I can't use any.
Yeah, just doesn't seem very fair, does it?
All right, and then now it will be back on Daniel to see if he can draw something out of his deck to help him. He does have quite a few options. There is 3 Sightseer, 3 Cynthia, 2 Lily as his draw cards, and then not excluding the Heat Factory. Well, here's an Acrobike, and there's a Sightseer.
Okay, Daniel has been bailed out here. Yeah, he has to discard that Poipole. He can't not take that Sightseer to his hand, although there's a debate here as to what he actually discards.
Yeah, unfortunately, if he
这洗牌方式不会伤到牌吗？没抽到9尾，只能配仙子哭哭。
真的。
So choosing just to discard the 1 here.
Yeah. Draws 3. That is a pretty good free, though.
Wow.
There is an Ultra Space, a Beast Ring, as well
as
another Sightseer.
Okay,
that's a pretty good free card off of that Sightseer there. That Ultra Space can just get played. Ultra Space can get played down rather straight away. Find himself another Poipole and really start getting himself going at the speed he needs to.
Yeah, or even getting the Naganadel and charging up and knockout on the Alolan Vulpix. Because remember,
郑伟哲，你一天先有500卡再抽。
From Alolan Ninetales GX.
Yeah, of course, that's absolutely true. And with, I mean, actually, there could have been a consideration there for Daniel to get a second Blacephalon, knowing that Christian would be able to find a Ninetales and KO the active Blacephalon. Because, of course, Daniel has that B-string in his hand. So he might just think to himself, okay, I'm just at this point happy to let the active Blacephalon get KO'd so I can go to my B-string turn and attach a bunch of energy and overwhelm Christian that way.
And here we see the charging up from Naganadel on the bench will allow Blacephalon to Mind Blown and leave 1 fire on the active. It's really never good to have to get rid of all your energy attached to the Blacephalon.
No, exactly. So you much rather leave 1 there at least, so another manual attachment next turn can find him another Mind Blown attack and another 2 prizes or 1 prize depending on what he KOs. Importantly, Daniel did get the Tapu Lele out of his prizes.
Top 8的牌
All right, so he will have more decisions to make on his turn. Meanwhile, Christian does have that 1 of Beast Energy Prism Star.
Oh, that is huge.
One of the first Prism Star cards to actually make a difference with a long Diancie Prism.
Yeah, exactly, which is also on the bench. But importantly, that means that Christian does now have the KO on the Blacephalon GX because, of course, Daniel does have exactly 4 prize cards left.
Oh, yeah, that's right, from Burst GX.
Yes, of course, he did 1 burst, 1 KO, and that means that Sledgehammer will be doing 200 damage to this Blacephalon with when you combine all the damage modifiers.
It's not bad.
No, not really. Not bad at all.
And there's actually a Guzma opting to take the knockout on the lone Naganadel on the bench. And with no other Poipole, Blacephalon's really going to be limited in how much it can do.
This is really, really clever because now Daniel won't have access to his B-string. If the Blacephalon got KO'd, Christian would be down to 4 prizes, and then all of a sudden Daniel can just attach a bunch of energy and recover. The way it is currently, Daniel will struggle to take another prize. And if that's the case, there'll be another turn where Sledgehammer does 120 damage.
Yeah, and having access to the Rockruff on the bench means Lycanroc GX can come out of nowhere and Bloodthirsty Eyes anything to the active spot.
左边为什么不开环?
Choosing what he wants to knock out.
看他肯定是忘记了。
Yeah, so there's a decision here as to what the best supporter is to go for. The Tapu Lele means that he can pick and choose what he thinks is the best option for him. Does opt to go for the Ultra Space first, just to grab himself another Poipole. Obviously wants to get out as many more Naganadels as possible. He won't be able to see his way through the rest of this game without at least a couple more. There's Tapu Lele as well, benching it, maybe. Yes, Wonder Tag. What is he going to grab from this?
Could be opting for Cynthia. His draw supporters are Sightseer, Cynthia, and Lily. And with his hand so stocked full of cards that he either doesn't want to discard. And so Cynthia is really the only option here.
Yeah, and that is indeed what he's going to go for. Cynthia comes out of the deck from the Wonder Tag, and we're probably just going to see him play that straight away. I don't think there's any other really playable cards in Daniel's hand he wants to make use of. Maybe the Fire Energy, but no, he actually doesn't even attach that.
And there we go. Cynthia, shuffle your hand in, draw 6. We could probably see just Daniel burn and confuse this Buzzwole, kind of hope that, well, maybe if he attacks, he'll flip Tails on Confusion, buy me another turn.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen it come into play many times before. Like, so Bursting Burn attack is surprisingly effective at what it does. Ooh, there's another good pickup from Daniel, though. He does find the Heat Factory Prism Star. Could use that to discard the Fire Energy. Yeah, replacing his own Ultra Space. Draw an extra 3 cards. Maybe see a couple more Poipole who would be ideal for him. There it is. Does he see... Oh, an Acrobike and another Blacephalon. That's pretty good as well.
Yeah, he even has access to an Ultra Ball in his hand. If he chooses to, that could get another Poipole.
That's the Acrobike. What does he see off of it? Looks like a Lily and a Rescue Stretcher.
The Rescue Stretcher is very good here, actually, and it's actually the first Blacephalon list that I've seen that plays recovery cards.
Yeah, no, it's not a very common feature. A lot of these Blacephalon lists we see up to not really play any kind of recovery at all, but with this Rescue Stretcher, Daniel able to get back the Poipole from the hand to the hand rather, and then just bench it straight away.
Yeah, this is a little bit awkward though, because with that Naganadel in the discard and the Rescue Stretcher already being used, and with one of them in the prizes as well, he only has access to 1 in his deck right now.
Yeah, that's obviously not ideal, and you will be sort of realizing that sooner rather than later, I'm sure. There's probably an internal debate now going on in his mind as to whether he wants to bench the second Blacephalon. Opts not to for now, just does indeed go for that Bursting Burn, confusing and burning the Buzzwole.
Oh.
Now we'll just wait for the flip.
And unfortunately, Unfortunately, from that Cynthia and the Heat Factory, he did not draw into another fire energy, so missing the attachment there for the turn.
Yeah, Christian flipping heads there. About to flip his puzzle around. No, it doesn't. It's not the flip isn't for confusion. You don't get unconfused all of a sudden, but the burn does get healed.
Yeah, for sure. Burn with that new rule change that came into effect a couple seasons ago, really just changing the way you actually view that status condition, and just 20 damage for free is pretty good. Yeah,
it's a guaranteed 20. Even if the burn doesn't, necessarily stay there, quite often than not, it didn't with the way it was before regardless. So the fact that you get at least 20 damage guaranteed from burn now is pretty good.
But here we see another Tapu Lele Wonder Tag for Aguzma, and with an energy, he will be able to just Aguzma retreat again. And there is a B-String. Remember, with 4 prizes, B-String is live. Buzzwole GX will now be charged up and be a huge threat.
Yeah, Daniel cannot get himself off of this 4 prize card number, and Christian is making as much use of that as he can with the sledgehammer turns, with the B-String onto the Buzzwole GX. Everything is going Christian's way right now.
Yeah, and we see the Guzma on the Tapu Lele. He actually has a few options. He has a Lycanroc EX in hand as well, so we could see the Blacephalon come right back out, and that's what he chooses.
Yeah, there it is. Bringing out Tapu Lele, attaching it, discarding to retreat, and that is KO on the Blacephalon. Christian going down to 3 prizes, but this does mean that Daniel now has access to B-Strings of his own, which is why maybe he could have considered benching the Blacephalon last turn.
Well, he just drew into another one, has the other one in hand as well. But one thing he is missing is those important B-Strings.
Yeah, no B-String means that you can't make as much use out of this free prize turn as he might be able to otherwise. Equally, I don't believe he has access to Guzma. Like, the ideal turn for him would have been to use B-String, maybe Guzma KO the Buzzwole GX, and then sort of kind of take a swing from there. Given that the Buzzwole on the active won't be really doing much after Daniel gets off 4 prizes.
All right, here we see the Ultra Ball come down, discarding that second Blacephalon, looking for that Naganadel, but remember that's the only one left in the deck as of right now.
Certainly is.
He's really going to have to prioritize keeping that in play.
And he did have a Guzma in his hand, but he opted to discard it with Ultra Ball, interestingly enough. Maybe he's thinking that he wants to go for a turning point instead.
Yeah, one thing often forgot about Naganadel is that it is also an Ultra Beast, so you can B-String to itself. And there is 2 B-Strings off of that Sightseer.
An amazing pickup for Daniel, as he can now not only B-String onto the Naganadel, but can B-String onto the Blacephalon as well, pretty much setting up all the attackers he needs to see him through these last 4 prizes. Wow, that's incredible.
看来回忆色真的是压倒性的多。
Daniel even has that Beast Energy Prism in his hand as well. Could make some math easier down the road.
He certainly could. Now, one unfortunate thing for Daniel is that because obviously he had to do the Sightseer instead of the Guzma, he won't be able to take 2 prizes, and therefore carrying this Blacephalon means, carrying this Buzzwole means that Christian will have another turn of B-String.
Another B-String off that Heat Factory draw. 3 B-Strings being played this turn from Daniel.
Absolutely the ideal situation for Daniel right now. Just, like I said, maybe needing to worry a little bit about some retaliation B-Strings from Christian, given that he will only be taking 1 prize, but still a really, really fantastic turn.
And really diversifying his threats here. If Christian chooses to take the knockout on the Naganadel, he will most for sure get knocked out by the Blacephalon GX on the bench.
3张哈哈。
energy cards. But if he opts to
又敢这样打好冲。
that Blacephalon,
超冲的。
with that Joyspan actually does take the knockout.
他要是刚才那一瞬
I
间
also
没
think
拼
this
到
is
的。
the first time this entire weekend that we've seen a Blacephalon player actually able to use a B-String.
Yeah. Always been played around just with some unfortunate matchups, and you can see how powerful this deck is when it hits those right matchups.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There goes the unit energy onto the active for Christian. A choice band going onto the Lycanroc GX and the Tapu Lele GX as well, following it up with a Cynthia.
Both players at 3 prizes, and Christian really looking for some more B-Strings here, although he also needs some Ultra Beasts to attach him to.
Yeah, he does. For sure, he will be able to find one eventually. Gives obviously he doesn't want to attach anymore to the Buzzwole on the active. He does actually. Oh, he doesn't. Oh, yes, he does. He finds another Buzzwole GX.
Yeah, Buzzwole GX, but no B-String in his hand, and having to commit the energy to the active means if that gets knocked out,
看来蛮多牌组都是锁控制， 手的控制真的很多哎。这次牌子真的是蛮多手。
I love it. It wasn't even intentional, I swear. So now this Naganadel will get KO'd by the Buzzwole, obviously. Another Buzzwole goes down for Christian as well. Just wanted to have that in reserve just in case. But it's going to be tricky for Christian to seal this out because, like you said, there'll be no energy left on his board after this. We know that Daniel's going to be able to fetch the KO here. He's got enough energy for it already.
And oh no, the 4th B string coming off the top. The turn after, you cannot use it.
Oh, that is a shame.
And remember, with no access to Naganadel here, unless he got it from the prizes, but I don't believe so, then if he chooses to Mind Blown this turn, he will be left with essentially just 1 energy in play.
Well, no, he'll be left with the Beast Energy.
Yeah.
He'll be left with... Oh, no, the Beast Energy doesn't actually matter because it will still be... It adds an extra 30. The maths doesn't work out. Buzzwole obviously having 190. But, so yeah, actually that does mean he'll be left with 1 energy, right? Wow.
And there's the Naganadel from the prizes, having 1 prize card left to Christian's 2. We'll have to see if Christian will be able to stave off the next turn here from Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, if he can buy himself 2 turns, then...
Well, this is a good way to buy yourself a couple turns.
Yeah.
Let Loose, usually a card that we see in the Bliss deck. Christian, this card's too good not to play.
Actually, thinking about it, I'm not sure if Daniel will be able to seal out this game unless he finds a Guzma, because if he attaches 1 to the active and then does 1 charging up, that still won't be enough to KO that Lycanroc GX in the active, which means that if Christian can just find an energy next turn, he can just attach in Dangerous Rogue for the win.
That is true.
It's got to be something he's bearing in mind at this point.
Actually got an energy switch and an Ultra Ball and a Cynthia off the cards from Let Loose and an Ultra Space as well. We could see him cobble together a little bit here, but as of right now, with the 1 Lele in play already, no access to a Guzma this turn.
No, unfortunately not. He's going to have to try and figure this out, see what kind of comeback he can pull off. He's only 1 prize away from winning. He's so close and yet just at this point so far.
This game could really come down to a confusion flip.
That would be pretty ridiculous if it did. There's the Naganadel.
左边感觉做不出来3个能源。
Available to Daniel.
Yeah, really value the Heat Factory Prism Star Stadium over his Ultra Space. Heat Factory is essentially a one-sided stadium in this matchup, while Ultra Space could find Buzzwoles for Christian.
Yeah, exactly. And equally, it looks like he's going to go with the charging up. Probably just going to play the energy switch straight away, so he can make sure he does have access to Mind Blown if he wants to, or maybe thinking of holding it actually and just playing for the Cynthia.
Yeah, if he even just holds the Cynthia, maybe.
Now, you want to hold the Cynthia, you need to see more energy at this point. So the Cynthia's got to be played, but it's just whether the energy switch gets played first, and he does go for the energy switch indeed, and then just plays the Cynthia straight away. No.
这边应该是错了啦。
Yeah, if he doesn't play the Cynthia, he maybe could kind of bluff his opponent, saying, "I don't really have anything in my hand."
火 UB 会放头巾吗？
Oh, that's interesting.
我会不会放头巾吗？好像很少有人放，因为爆发其实够了，它就是15、20、100，然后150、200、250，够得多把一颗而已。应该还是有人放的，会放的，就没那么多。
好像有些会放各1张。
放个1张到2张吧，如果我会怕怕。诶，
放1张。
Yeah, it's time and time again we've seen how what a game ender it can be. Just
看右边的打法应该是没放，放1张能打别。
那应该拿去放康牌，把多余的空间拿去放康。应该了，他刚把多余的空间拿去放康。
他给42。
Playing in a suboptimal manner, just generally.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, all of the decks that we've seen this weekend, decks like Ptcg 9tails,
我之前跟他讲说，我的箱子里面应该会有很多这个臭臭泥，结果我发现一件事，我好像也只有这样子。对，我应该有3张。
放1张42能秒蚊子。
Daniel's not going to take this to heart. He just understands that
放一张私
necessarily go his way towards the end, but he knows what he needs to do to win, and he's just going to try and execute that same strategy again, going into game 2, just maybe hoping that things go a little bit more his way this time.
我还有一张布鲁皇呢。
布鲁皇撕掉都给我撕掉。
我还有一张布鲁皇，旧的布鲁皇。10N1 的布鲁皇，所以一开始大家听到大家讲布鲁皇，
才收臭臭泥而已，哈哈。
就是听到大家讲布鲁皇的时候，我想说，哎，你在说什么布鲁皇啊？为什么我感觉好像没听到你在讲的是为什么他们就哎，好像我终于知道是什么了呢？然后就哦，原来
大家都在找臭臭泥了。
其实不用找啦。 这种东西有就是有，没有就是没有，对不对？像这样，我又他妈生出2张来了。是小臭臭泥会需要收吗？我个人是觉得不用，因为这种东西是康嘛，康就是放1张而已。你如果特意为了这件事情再多放了1张小臭臭，好像又没有这么有必要。所以臭泥真的很有必要吗？
怎么这么多？
怎么这么多？不要问我为什么，因为我以前抽很多嘛。 就抽很多1哈，哎，刚好2张外闪，2张内闪，我刚好有4张。好，其实是应该只有3张啦，我这一张是今天在迷的。哎，我跟各位讲一件事，你的已经没有臭臭泥，最后一张在这里。
逼我以后打蚊子。
都在这儿。我跟你们说啊，都在这里呀。 没别的啦，都在这
就看是不是没放卡奇，
看起来是没放。
Yeah, no, it is just Lily. So there is a pass from Daniel now back to Christian. Is his hand any more workable? He does have a Brooklet Hill straight away.
Yeah, Brooklet Hill is just such a great utility card in this deck. Really, just getting anything you want.
这就是万恶的根源啊！不要一天到晚只想着要锁别人，锁一锁啊，想着要锁别人的时候就用作弊的方式，这是不对的，懂吗？不可以作弊啊！宁愿5分钟啊，也不要作弊 ，OK？ 大家当乖孩子，懂吗？ 臭臭你就这样用着这个眼神看着你，8个眼睛，这样看着。
And it was due to just some early game stumbling from Christian with his hand, and it could be looking a little bit better here. We see a Cynthia in his hand as well as a fighting energy.
So I guess it's actually the bench, interestingly enough, deciding that
好啊，
doing like
做
the early
事慢慢看好，
doesn't really add much value
见证一个东西
to
哈。
his current state of play, and does it just play the Cynthia? Where it looks like straight after.
Yeah, the value would have came if the Diancie Prism was in the deck, meaning you deal at least 50 damage, because this Buzzwole is probably one of the best cards in your deck. Sledgehammer is an insane attack, especially when they get taking prizes. But early game, if you don't have those big damage modifiers, then
为什么要贴后面？
Well, no, exactly. It's just gonna potentially end really awkwardly for you. There is now going back to Danielson. He does have the Naganadel, which he evolves from the Poipole straight away. Has another fire energy in his hand too, so he can attach that to the active. And even if you wanted to do a charging up and actually just KO the Buzzwole here.
Yeah, well, that would mean getting rid of all of his fire energy in play. Another option would be just to use that burst GX and hopefully get a fire energy, maybe set up a second Blacephalon on the bench depending on his draw from the Cynthia.
Yeah, that would be pretty good as well. But it all depends on what he draws off of this Cynthia right now.
Yeah, he is really in no threat for the next coming turn, just because when your opponent doesn't get that Diancie, you're like, okay, I can play around a little bit. The Vulpix is scary, yes, but it is 2 energy attachment.
Yeah, and there's nothing really like energy switch in Christian's.
There's a multi-switch.
There's one multi-switch. Okay, so in theory, we could see the Sublimation GX get powered up in one turn, but it's not likely, essentially.
Yeah, not likely, and he would have to retreat the active Buzzwole as well. But no, we see a Mind Blown, removing the 3 energy, taking the knockout on the Buzzwole. Yeah. So here we go.
Vulpix in the active spot.
Yep, just going super aggressive on the prizes straight away. There is a Brooklet Hill as well, going to be able to get any basic water or fighting Pokemon he wants from his deck and put it onto the bench, and it looks like he's going to make it that Rockruff.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for the way that Daniel has drawn this game, only having the one Naganadel on the bench, nothing else, but he's kind of innocuously playing around Dangerous Rogue.
And of course he can access the multi-switch because he can search it off of the yellow Ninetales GX.
GX 开下去右杆484可以投了。
If he has that unit energy in his hand, will be able to, if he wants, take the knockout on this Blacephalon on the active.
Yeah. It's so easy to forget just how much of an enabler Ninetales is. You know, here I am saying, oh yeah, it's unlikely that it will happen, but no, of course, when you evolve into Ninetales, you get it exactly there and then.
Yeah.
And I do believe I see the unit energy in his hand too. So yeah, there it is, attachment onto the active, choice band onto the Buzzwole, and let loose as well.
Yeah, really just a disruptive turn here from Christian, really trying to just pull forward and make it to where Daniel can't even make a comeback.
That is absolutely incredible. I have no doubt we are going to see a Sublimation GX next turn, and if Daniel doesn't really draw much of anything else, we might just see a very quick game too.
Yeah, and you don't even really feel afraid about if this Ninetales does get knocked out. It will take a lot, at least one B-string, maybe just two. And if it does get knocked out, he'll still be able to use his own B-strings and eventually just overwhelm Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Daniel's draw from that Let Loose was not that great either. There's a B-string there, but nothing really that great to attach to apart from the Naganadel.
I believe there's also a Blacephalon in his hand.
Okay, so that makes it a bit better, but still not really the ideal Let Loose. There is the Sublimation GX, instant knockout onto the active Blacephalon, 2 prizes for Christian, and what does Daniel draw? He's got a Blacephalon Fire Energy, an Energy Switch, it looks like.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the way his hand is right now, he's not going to be able to take the knockout on this Ninetales.
Wow.
Because he will have to retreat the Naganadel.
Yeah, this is really not ideal situation for Daniel, and Christian could really just run away with this game here.
Yeah, we could just see possibly a Burst GX or even the Burn and Confusion. But if he Burst GX, that means he will be at 4 prizes, meaning Sledgehammer is live and very threatening.
And B-String is live as well.
Yes.
It's not something that you want to be able to enable your opponent to do when you're already in such a bad way with what you're staring down in your hand. You can tell he's really not sure how to approach this. There is going to be
no fire energy in the discard as well.
So he actually needed to attach that fire to the active if he wanted to retreat.
Yeah, kind of just sacrificing this Naganadel in the active. But as of right now, there is no way for Christian to take the knockout on it.
No, not easily at least. He can go for a Snowy Wind, but that's just a pass from Daniel, and he's got to be feeling it right now.
And Christian's hand is stacked. He has well over 8 cards in his hand, and all of them are just hits right there. Like,
grabbing the Buzzwole GX off of the Brooklet Hill, knowing that that's going to be one of the cards he can really use to cement his advantage. Of course, probably like the most powerful standalone attacker in terms of not relying on the opponents, what the opponent's doing with their prizes to get the most out of it. You can just start attaching to it a bunch, and then all of a sudden you're doing knuckle impacts for KOs.
He opts to go for the Alolan Vulpix with the Ultra Ball there. Really just trying to set up more utility from the Ninetales. One of the great things about it in this deck is that you're attacking with this Ninetales in the active spot. If he does take the knockout with Blacephalon next turn, well, you can just play your other Ninetales, search your deck for 2 B-strings, and you're all set.
Yeah, this is exactly the situation that Daniel has to be worried about right now. Not only is he staring down a hand of Energy Switch Naganadel, but then he also needs to be worried about if he tries to take some kind of KO, what he actually can really do to make some kind of a comeback. Is that Cynthia he drew?
Yeah, he drew into the Cynthia there.
Wow, and again, an amazing pickup from Daniel. Bailed out from this potentially disastrous situation as Daniel was sort of undoing his misstep from the previous turn, playing the Energy Switch to the Naganadel so he can retreat it, and then playing the Cynthia.
Yeah, of course, these Cynthias have not been the best for him throughout this game. Really having to just rely on these 2 Pokemon in play. He will need a lot here.
He will need a lot, but there is a potential for Daniel to play around the Sledgehammer turn. He's taken 1 prize currently. if he's able to find a couple of B-strings and retreat the Naganadel and KO the Ninetales, then Christian would not have a Sledgehammer turn where he does 120 damage.
Oh, and there is one B-string there and a Poipole as well. He also has energy.
Yeah, he does. There is the B-string. We could see something pretty incredible here. 2 fire energy going out onto the field, probably going to attach them to the Poipole, I imagine, or they're actually just going straight onto the Blacephalon. I mean, he's going to have to get rid of all of them regardless to, well, 4 of them to take a KO on the Ninetales, so it almost doesn't matter as much where they go.
Definitely a good comeback turn here for Daniel, really needing to pull through and finish this game off on a strong note. Looking at his hand, he does have the Guzma for possibly later on, but no other supporter.
No, and there is a charging up, getting back the energy that was just discarded to retreat. He does have the manual attachment he could do as well, and then put him onto 6 energy onto the field, which would mean that he could then make sure he can do another follow-up Mind Blow next turn. Actually, opposite just put it onto the Poipole, and then lost zoning. 1, 2, 3, and 4 to take the knockout.
Yeah, actually leaving the 2 on the Blacephalon, really just saying, yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to take a knockout this turn, barring any B-strings.
But of course, that is exactly what Christian will be digging for. And of course, something you have to keep remembering, that Vulpix is there, ready to go. And if a Ninetales can be found, those B-strings are guaranteed. This is the time and time again, the strength of these archetypes that feature a lot of Ninetales. Instead of thinking, oh, I need to draw into 1 or 2 B-strings to get this happening, it's like, I just need to draw Ninetales. And he has it in his hand already.
Has the Ninetales, already has 1 B-string in his hand as well. This is going to be an insane turn from Christian here.
Like, how do you deal with this if you're in Daniel's spot right now?
I honestly don't know if you can. You might face down 3 B-strings being played this turn.
There's even a switch for good measure, so there's no worry about Christian not being able to attack with the Buzzwole and just take the knockout here. This is absolutely phenomenal stuff from Christian right now.
Yeah, opts for the Ultra Ball instead of the 3rd B-string.
Yeah, I think 2's enough.
Yeah, well, you only really have 2 Ultra Beasts in play, and so it's kind of wasting a B-string here.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, actually, just opts is actually active, and then play another B-string. This time, I imagine we'll be going onto the bench Buzzwole GX, but I believe maybe, can he guarantee, with the Beast Energy and the Choice Band, I think he can guarantee the KO with Swing Around.
So with Swing Around, it will be doing 140, meaning it is 10 short of taking the knockout on the Blacephalon. But there's the Professor Kukui off the Wonder Tag from Tapu Lele, meaning Swing Around will be able to take the knockout here.
Not wanting to risk the coin flip, of course.
Yeah. You never want to risk the coin flip. No. It's so heartbreaking when you get that double tails, and then all of a sudden you're just in a losing position.
Yeah, exactly. So there it is, Christian going for the Swing Around there. No need to flip the coins. That will be enough for the KO. And now it's back onto Daniel to, again, just try and mount some kind of comeback here. B-string is no longer active for him. He's got no energy onto the field. I think this might seal it for Christian,
Yeah, one of the ways this deck actually combats Buzzwole as an archetype is with Naganadel actually attacking, but with having all the energy removed off of them and then just the 2 in the discard, barring another energy switch here, he won't be able to get the attack off.
No, and he's already committed his manual attachment for the turn to the Blacephalon anyway, so that won't be really a possibility for him. He sees the Heat Factory Prism Star probably a little bit later than he would have liked, would have been able to counter that Brooklet Hill and stop Christian from being able to get the Vulpix and therefore evolve into the Ninetales and set up the way he has done.
Yeah, and looks like we
不太懂他为啥异兽环不贴42
to a possible retreat and maybe the Burn and Poison or even the GX.
It's just bad news no matter what you try to accomplish.
Yeah, well, you're staring down that Buzzwole with 2 fighting energy, just 1 more energy, and it could really take a knockout on anything on the board with something like a Kukui or a Choice Band.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly sure all Christian needs at this point is a Guzma plus some kind of an energy and some kind of damage booster onto the Buzzwole GX to just bring up the Blacephalon GX and win the game. It doesn't look like he has access to it just yet, though.
Yeah, well, he has that Lycanroc GX. Bloodthirsty Eyes could bring up that Blacephalon. Yes, it does. He's going for the win right here.
He's 1 energy onto the Buzzwole. He played the Professor Kukui last turn, of course, so that's not something that he has access to right now. He plays the Ultra Ball, discarding some stuff, and they actually just to get rid of stuff, and he actually just goes for the Cynthia afterwards.
Yeah, super heads-up play here from Christian, showing his veteran presence here, just discarding a bunch of cards from his hand, so he has more opportunity to draw into Choice Band. Yeah,
so I wonder, he could actually win with Swing Around if he gets lucky. If he gets a double heads, actually, then he wouldn't even need to attack with the Buzzball necessarily. Unless
yeah, and he might have to go for it here. No Choice Band off that Cynthia. Granted, he is still in a very strong position, and we might even just see a Knuckle Impact here for 160 and kind of just be like, I'm going to win next turn.
Yeah, so there it is. Knuckle Impact, 160. That Blacephalon only
or even a Jet Punch.
It's just,
okay.
Yeah,
Knuckle Impact.
Yeah, because he can do it either way around. He can do the Jet Punch first, or he can do the Knuckle Impact first, and just deciding it makes more sense to, whilst everything is in the active, do the Knuckle Impact now, and then maybe, if need be, finish off the Blacephalon with a Jet Punch.
All right, and this is not looking good for Daniel here. He could be on his last turn of the game. No real way to heal up that Blacephalon, and as long as Buzzwole GX is in Christian's deck, a simple Jet Punch could just take the game and the championship.
Sightseer being played, discarding Guzman and a Poipole, I believe, drawing a couple more cards. Nothing really there that's helpful for him. B-String's not live. That's not, I don't think he can get enough energy on the board even to KO this Buzzwole, or maybe not. He's got a Choice Band in hand.
Choice Band in hand, but that does not.
觉得左边的牌好可怜，一直被弯。
One Fire Energy attachment plus one Choice Band will not get it for him, and I don't believe he has any Fire Energy in a discard pile. Oh no, he does. Okay, so you can attach the active, then play the Choice Band and get the KO on the Buzzwole. But again, that still doesn't help him because then the Buzzwole on the bench comes in and KOs him anyway.
Yeah, he's just one turn short here. And with Christian's hand, he has that Guzma. He has everything he needs on the field as well. It's really just going through the motions.
There's the discard. Another charging up.
Oh, do we see an energy switch in his hand? No. There's the pass. He did Knuckle Impact, but we know there is the Guzma, and that is it. Christian Marino is your 2018-2019 international champion here in Latin America.
For the trading card game in the senior division. Huge congratulations to Christian there, really piloting his deck to perfection. And again, congratulations to Daniel. A very well-fought battle, just not quite able to beat this onslaught of B-Strings and Ninetales and everything else.
Yeah, really just putting on a clinic of how powerful Alolan Ninetales GX is, especially in a matchup against Ultra Beast Pokemon. Just pretty insane to see how these new cards have been affecting everything.
Yeah, it's an absolutely phenomenal deck, and you can see the smile on Christian's face there. He is going to be super happy with his accomplishment there. Again, huge congratulations to him, walking home with the title of the 2018 to 2019 Latin American Trading Card Game International Champion.
Yeah, just great to see, and Buzzwole finally trying to take it down, and it did it.
Yeah, it really did. It's like we've seen so far, two different decks, win the different age divisions for Blacephalon, taking the title in juniors, but falling just short of the mark in the senior division.
Yeah, and a great showing by Daniel as well. And like you said, Blacephalon putting on a pretty good showing here as well. First in juniors, second in seniors. Who knows where this could go moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something that's very important to mention with Daniel specifically, as we saw from his accomplishments list, he's gotten at least top 8 at every single internationals he's been to the previous 4 seasons, or the previous 4 ones in the last season. That was in the junior division. So this is now him aging up into seniors and proving still that carrying on that streak across 2 age divisions that he's able to get at least top 8 or even better at the international championships.
Yeah, and that's where we see just the consistency and these players' abilities to jump through these hurdles, these age divisions. You're going against a lot of people and a lot smart people too. It's pretty amazing to see.
It's one of those things where so often we talk about the jump from the seniors to the Masters division, and we say how previously a lot of players who aged up kind of struggled when they got into Masters, but we've seen that less and less and less. You can't really discount the jump from juniors to seniors as well. It is very much another level of play. Seniors getting seemingly better each year. When we feature them on the stream, and it's pretty impressive some of the records that they've been able to attain.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you right now, like a lot of the juniors and seniors can just beat me. They're so much better than me. It's insane.
Oh, there you go. Right, straight from Jeremy's arm right there.
Yeah, but that's why I'm back here.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too.
All right, and it looks like we have our interview ready, and let's take it away, Joe.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Yes, that is it. The seniors finals has concluded. On stage with me now is the winner of the senior division Latin American International Championships for the 2018-19 season. Let's hear it for Christian Moreno. Congratulations, Christian. And I'm just going to ask a few questions about the game. I know you're going to be excited after that big win, but first of all, your archetype, the Buzzwole Ninetales Lycanroc deck. It's been, a constant feature throughout the format before Ninetales, but we saw in that game how powerful the Alolan Ninetales is for the deck. Talk us through your playtesting process and why you chose this deck.
I didn't test any games with it. I just asked Alex Szymanski for the list, and he just helped me. And I just liked it because they're doing well, so I think I could do well with it.
Well, yeah, both of you did very well this weekend, so that's a fantastic archetype brought over from a few top US players. And about that matchup, that final game in the finals, Blacephalon, another deck that you really have to expect coming into this tournament. How did you feel about that matchup?
I didn't know how to play it right. I just asked people how to play it, and I just thought I played it right, and I guess I did.
Yeah, you played it really well, and I guess you've got some really good friends around you, helping you out with your deck decisions and testing and all that good stuff. So do you have anyone that you'd like to shout out right here, right now?
Shout out to Ian, Rob, and Alex Szymanski for helping me, and other of my friends, I guess. I don't know.
All right, thanks so much for talking to us. I'm going to let you get off stage now and celebrate with your friends. Back to you, casters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the booth here, and we have some news. This is where we usually get set up for our Masters Division finals, but with some unfortunate news, there was a disqualification on Pedro's side, and because of that, Daniel Altavilla is your 2018-2019 season Latin America International Champion in the Masters Division.
Yeah, it's these situations happen sometimes, and unfortunately that is just the way that it's played out here.
Yeah, and because of that, that's pretty much it. This tournament is in the books.
Yeah, it is.
This has been such an amazing weekend, and seeing all the players do so well in this event and just really culminate to just a pretty run-well event too.
Yeah, it's been really phenomenal just how efficiently this event's been run. We've progressed through all the food rounds very quickly. The judging team has been absolutely excellent. You guys have probably seen them around on the stream a little bit, just around the place. Really huge. I think they deserve really a huge round of thanks for the sometimes thankless work that they do, quite frankly, around the place.
Yeah, and of course, this whole experience has been amazing. I love Sao Paulo, my second time here now. You having lived in Sao Paulo for a little bit of your life as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's always great to come back here. So almost like a nostalgic feeling. Almost. It's an incredible place, and being here is just a privilege, to be honest.
Yeah, and then of course, we were talking about it all weekend, and with the new set being introduced, just brought so many deck and archetypes into the format here, and it really showed forth 3 different decks winning each division.
Yes, and that's really cool to see as well. I mean, the real variety of powerful decks that Lost Thunder introduces, and archetypes that have been revitalized, and all these stage 2 archetypes as well that are viable.
None of them
necessarily won this weekend, but now that stage 2 is viable again, I imagine we'll be seeing a lot of people experimenting to
Yeah, one notable win was Robin Schultz's Gardevoir, Swampert, Alolan Ninetales. That was pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, that was. I would have loved to see that go even further. He still managed to end on a top 16 finish, which is still extremely impressive, obviously, but yeah, we're not able to quite make it to the top 8 to be in contention for the win.
And then you even have decks like Granbull, which even made top 4 here, thanks with Nicholas Galaz. That deck is just super hyper aggressive, and I'm gonna do 160 essentially.
小丑要放几张比较好。
大家都放满4张了，我不知道其他人怎么样。我看到的 deck 这个大部分都是14张有
really popularized by all the US players that brought it here. Ended up taking
那我好像还差个1张吧。
really just
我线上好像还我忘记了哦，对，我线上买了。
Yeah.
所以其实我可以煮。
So frustrated, turn after turn after turn.
You know, being
discarded where you think, oh, they've flipped tails on crushing hammer, I'm okay, but then there's a plumeria, and all of a sudden, all your energy.
魏请问我打线上版腱子棉，我刚贴脱壳，结果他判断脱壳下面已下略。
脱壳下面是下面2张大米字，结果下面那只不会上是错误。刚贴脱壳就碰到错壳下面那两只。
Max Potion, and an Energy every turn to heal his Oranguru, and then putting those 3 cards back, Cynthia draw his entire deck, and Clifton, having no energy left, can only do 60 with Feather Arrow with 3 Decidueye, so he was locked out of the game until he could deck out, and seeing that he conceded, it was an amazing play.
And that is the kind of power that with the Zoroark and with Oranguru, the research management attack that sort of enables those kind of strategies to actually work, you know, and just
是身上的一起进
even
去。
though it's just that close to winning, they just need that one more prize, but they're out of energy. And
做的顺序有没有错啊？不是，小马现在说的是我们之前讨论的部分，就是脱壳忍者先进化完之后，脱壳忍者本身那一会进那个会贴在他身上，然后再开。
It's many different forms of variants here, taking down the various different international championships. This is just the next incarnation of it, it seems. And discarding a card and drawing 2 cards just will never, no matter what new things come out, it just still is considered too good to not play.
Yeah, who knew it was going to be good when it came out?
Right, so guys, that will be all from us here at the captain's desk. We are going to take a little bit of a quick break before we come back to you guys for the closing ceremonies and hand out the awards to all of our finalists and winners today. Don't go anywhere, you're not going to want to miss it.
再来是。应该是长这样，看一下。
可是脱壳进化当装备的当下，它底下的那只不是直接进墓地。
我先看一下哦，我先。然后进化。Once during your turn, you may discard attach to this Pokemon and attach it.
这么一说，特性好像是一模一样的。
来。好，先做这个。
没仔细看。
来哦，正常应该是它下面那个一起进去才对，就是它全部贴在身上的东西全部一起进去。好，再来是这个，再来这个，哇，真是假的？ 1、2、3、4、5。结束。 好，接下来
现在疑惑点是脱壳的进化，它底下那只是怎样处理？
好，我们现在就这样处理，先进化这个，然后我们再进化这个，然后接下来我们先不要开特性，先开这个，然后贴它身上。哎，等一下哦，怎么会长这样？哎，
好神奇！
这不是回到了？
这样不等于装备2张意思？
对，这样等于装备2张，这样它等于上面这2个停效。这个问题我想要，
那这样进去不就4只？
对，这样进去等于4只。等我一下，我这个事情先问一下。
Lost Zone。可否加你好友？我看叙述是说贴的东西全掉。
其实要确认一下，因为你我们看字面上意思，在你那回合，你把他身上所贴的所有东西。
猫太郎，你说的是键子棉特性没错。
他写的说，你可以，
但我迷惑的是脱壳特性。
Cut attach to this Pokemon 可以丢掉。然后贴到你那一只 Pokemon 身上，当成一个道具。然后当这只 Pokemon 死掉的时候，被打的那只 Pokemon 死掉的时候，它不会。好，那
我说的也是脱壳的特性。
对，它上面写 Yume。OK， 现在讲 Yume， 但是其实这样子好像会违反。
Yume is all as item 以下略。
我们先做。出来，嘣，出来，好，这样有几张？
可是丢掉不就进墓地？只有 attach to this Pokemon 的要进弃牌。要丢掉。
好吧。这一点那个变成雷电球
是 bug 吗？
现在不太能确定，我不敢，我现在不太敢在这边确定，因为基有疑虑的状况之下，我就不会去确定的。因为 这个问题之前我之前有跟他讲过，就是在，好，不然我们先做完，先打看看伤害就到了，我真的是妈的一下啦。
Thank you to all the players who competed at the Pokemon Latin America。
这叙述法跟特水很像，只有宝可梦回手贴的东西都要掉。
对，叙述很像。
所以 ND 才这样组加速进 Lost Zone 的数量。
其实我不太能理解为什么会。果然是因为优美的关系嘛？我觉得现在问题是出在优美的上面。你可以 你可以将它身上的东西全部 discard card to Pokemon attached to one of Pokemon to a card. When the Pokemon is card attached to it, knock out your one fewer price card. 好吧。不用试了啊，看来是这样没有错，好吧，确定是可以试会下去的，试会一起变成道具，还是不同为什么？等一下哦，这不是 STD 的东西，在这个里面找一下。EVO 的那个，You may knock out this Pokemon and attach in one of the Pokemon special card. This card provides 2 damage. 那是办法啊，这些事情我们用这个来试验好了。就找个，我一样，我一样，我用这个好了。我不知道还有没有人在看这个，这个东西我不晓得，我现在真不确定，好，现在用这个试试看。先用这个试试看哈。好，我先把这个拿掉，这个拿掉。OK。
如果脱壳忍者变成装备装在脱壳忍者上，再给剑子棉会发生什么事？
你说重复吗？不要问我这么复杂。基本上它身为装备的东西应该会全部下去。如果照它说明的话，装备的这些东西应该会全部一起下去。好。
会全部进去吗？
不晓得，我要一个一个试试看，没关系。好，先抓这个出来，因为我目的就是要做这个，真的打不死我。
第二只忍者贴的东西会掉进弃牌堆，然后再把自己变成装备。
正常来讲、
还是只有多2张。
正常来讲就是道具什么东西可以下去，然后它其他的东西会变成，它的装备会变成那个，像这样。好。接下来做这个，做这个加这个下去，都没有要用，然后我就拉个，做事情还是要做对。这样子，汽水，好，来喽，要来了，等一下，等一下，好，死掉，跌在身上，蹦，棒。死掉，进去。好，这个东西就跑到这里来了。他就跑到这里来了。OK， 然后它就变成一个双无。所以，为什么我一开始会跟小马说，照他的叙述跟类似的状况，应该是在这个顽皮蛋身上，它会变成一个双电，然后。它下面这个会死掉，但是它的状况为什么之所以现在跟那个不太一样？原因是因为，打开还是不在那里，奇怪，它会被摆在这里来，我不知道更新的时候发生什么事情。它这个应该要再算在，是 bug 吗？为什么它跑到这里来了？好，不管它。我开始觉得是 bug 了。开始觉得是 bug 了。160 ，OK。 这个天空雷丘大概是我玩过最便宜的，我玩最便宜的天空牌。啊，你只要搭这个，搭这个就可以。开始怀疑是 bug 了，不知道为什么他会在跑在这里，哼，真的不知道在搞什么鬼。哎。都怕超跟草了，算了，直接杀。吧，就确定了 token， 他可能是确定了线上是这样子，Andy 可能确定线上是长这样之后，他才这样做。因为，我现在不太敢跟人家很确定的说这是长这个样子，就是因为原本的设定不是长这个样子，不是原本设定的，就是原本在那个叙述它不是长这个样子的，所以我才不觉得它那个东西是对的。不过既然线上我们对大部分的情况下我们以线上为基准嘛，我们以线上为基准的话，那既然线上已经确定它下面那两只会一起变成道具，那我们就当做它变道具，对，那它就会变那个 ，OK， 好吧。那这就是裁判偶尔会遇到，大家当裁判的时候偶尔遇到，虽然当下你没有办法马上确定这个判例到底是不是对，那你中间调查或者是你静待调查之后，如果你发现有误，我跟之前像阿米有提过这，就是
OK， 感谢。
如果你身为一个裁判，然后你判像这样判，如果我那个时候判说，这样不行，你那个下面那只土居会下去，那就照着这样做了。然后等到你回报这些问题，他们跟你说没有哦，其实它推币是变道具哦。那这个时候呢，你整场都要维持这个判决，不能因为这样说，我刚刚这样子做，其实他判决是错的，那我要改过来。 而是因为这样子你会影响到整个在场结果，所以基本上你那整层梦者要用这个结果，然后在最后一面结束的时候，再向你的人解释说，哎，怎样，因为那是我经过调查之后的结果嘛，是这个样子，但因为维持公平性，就整场裁判必须要维持这个结果。好，因为很多时候他的叙述不那么清楚，而且他你看嘛，我刚刚这样子比得很清楚，他刚才原本那个写优美，两个都是优美，但是另外那个会下去，这个会上来，这个好 ，OK 哦，可能就要确定一下这样。好，大概是这样。时间也晚了哈，我们就啦。不晓得欸。好，那么今天台就开到这里好了。我要研究一下8强的牌组了，我要看一下8强的东西了。对啊，我要来看8强的东西。我现在不能在这边，现在不能在这边搞笑。我要看一下。应该是已经结束了。OK， 看一下这边写的是。
He's going to be coming up against Chow. Yeah. Can't.
Heat Factory Prism Star.
Yeah, it's an absolutely.
为什么影片长这样？
How the setup goes for his deck as well. You really need to get those Poiples down on your bench turn 1. It's really the only setup you have to do.
牌组哪里可以看啊？
You're sitting pretty.
Yeah, the deck has a similar feel to Malamar. You want to try and get as many Poipole down as possible because your charging up ability on the Naganadel is going to be something that you want to use over and over again. You have so much.
Now, again, looks like there's still.
If he wants to just draw all of them and finish
Top
resource,
Top 8 的部分
situation is off. He's going to try and put Daniel in awkward.
先挂着88。
啊，88。
performances to date are doing
这个就
so
是
well.
Top
Already
4 的
have
部
won
分。
Latin America for him.
Yeah, and we also saw
as well as a potential
5 rounds of Swiss, top 8 and top 4 as well. And I cannot wait to see what.
这边的尾巴应该就是
attach
top 8. Okay.
One Brazilian out there as well to still not playing energy switch. Similar 60.
I mean, I wasn't even like gym challenges were before I even started playing.
Yeah, gym challenges before I started playing as well. He's been doing it for over a decade already. Great experience under his belt.
That experience has been
好，那就到这边了，大家晚安，拜拜，拜拜。